Okay, we are live and direct. Crypto Comics alongside the controversial and talented Jon del Arroz. I am obviously a lapdog for Jon del Arroz. Everyone knows that.
I knew it.
I didn't know it, but I've heard people say it so much now that I
How come I
must
can't?
be.
How come I can't get you to just like do simple things I want?
What do you want me to do, John?
Well, I'd like you to refill my glass of wine right now.
I'm not at your house. We've never met in person. I don't think we've ever been in the same state together at the same time with our
That's true.
knowledge.
But if you truly cared, you'd just come out here and do it.
That's a long
Yeah.
drive. That's a long
Those are
drive.
my those are my sinister plans. That's about as deep as it gets.
I mean, would you put me up for the week if I did come refill your wine? What kind of
Like,
wine does Jon del Arroz drink? What do
um,
alt-right people drink?
well, I'm not alt right, so I wouldn't know.
Did Vox send you this wine all the way from Italy?
All the way from Italy. I don't love Italian wine that much. Right now, I'm drinking just something my father-in-law gave me for Christmas. I forget what it's called, and the bottle's in the other room, so I can't actually say what it is. But I'm typically a kind of more complex cab kind of guy, or I some Petite Sirahs or some Pinots. Like I like the more complicated Pinots also. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't like fruity stuff, right?
Oh,
That's going to get taken out of context.
Well, you did have that picture of your friend Vox and my friend Edwin together.
And yeah, so, it was beautiful art, and love is love. So
love is love. I agree. Love is love is love.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting a private message, so I'm such a terrible host because I'm gonna respond to this private message.
Is there like a link I can like send out so people like?
Oh, would you like that? Yeah, we can make that happen. I'm sure. I should have been more prepared for that, shouldn't I? But we just kind of did this off the cuff.
I'm pretty unsophisticated at YouTubing and all that because not my typical shindig.
I'm sophisticated at YouTubing, but I'm unsophisticated at preparing a live stream, apparently. You'd think that a guy who's produced a few hundred television shows would be a little more prepared for something like this, but I'm not.
You've produced a few hundred television shows?
Just here locally in Portland. I've done a little bit of work on movies that have been shot here, and I've done a lot. I'm not good at bragging about myself, so.
Interesting. You should brag,
I should brag more. I should brag more. Let me see. How do I find anything? I've got so many windows open right now, and the people listening, which there probably are none, are probably very disappointed in my inability to finish together.
We'll make it happen at some point. Don't leave dead air though, because there's nothing worse than dead air.
They're dead puppies.
And yeah, I mean, dead puppies are worse, I guess.
Yeah, man, dead kitties, dead children.
I saw a tweet. The joke's not gonna work out audibly because the guy misspells a bunch of stuff and it's pretty funny, so it won't work explaining it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Anyway.
I'll try to find it and show it to you later.
Well, what we're here to talk about is, Jon del Arroz and Donny Cates and the Comicsgate cancer. It's spreading. It's spreading. It's malignant, and it's spreading all over. It's claimed many victims so far. And what is that cancer? I dare not speak their name. We're talking about the water closet.
I'll speak the name because I don't care.
Go ahead. You can speak the name. I dare not speak the name.
You
speak the name of the Dark Lord, so it's easy for you.
Yeah, I don't care about that sort of stuff. I don't believe in that sort of stuff. But yes, the war campaign, it's been the same thing since, gosh, was I their first target or were there targets before me that were quieter? I don't know. It's hard to say.
As far as everyone knows, I think you were the first. You were the initial target. Number one with a bullet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute, John. So what happened exactly? I mean, I know, but let's hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, the exact. So I don't have this really written down anywhere because I don't know. It's just not that interesting.
It's very interesting, actually. It's very interesting. It's a fascinating tale. I'm surprised you haven't adapted it into a comic book yet.
I just have better comics to write.
And just before we start, I want to assure all the people out there that there are three sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth. And no one is lying because
Except
experience
for
is
the war
shared.
campaign.
Except for the war campaign, they are lying, especially their leader, Ro Kabir Kumar from Ontario, Canada. He is definitely lying and has been caught lying and caught working with social justice warriors who hate comic books and hate Comicsgate and want to see the destruction of everything that's beautiful in America.
Yeah.
So now we've got that out of the way.
All
But
right.
so John's telling the truth and I'm telling the truth. And the
All right.
truth is the truth.
So where did this start? I mean, there's a lot of starting points where things could have been avoided all the way down the line, I think. And it's just kind of a shame. But as far as the war campaign directly, I Ro followed me after I was streaming with sort of the major comics gators for a week or two, and I got a message from him in DM saying, "Hey, some of the guys are like kind of concerned about you," and I'm like, "Okay, who?" He's like, "Some of the guys." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can to put a stop to it, but I really need you to come on stream." I'm like, "Okay." So I didn't know who these guys were. I just, I've all the streams I'd been on up until that point were just comic guys, and we're just laughing and having a good time, and everybody's having whether it's big names or small names. There's lots of YouTube streams out there. I've been on almost all of them. And we were hanging out, and I just thought everything's cool. And I thought these guys are my friends because I'm on the EVS show and all that, and they're my friends. And so I'm like, sure. I'm like, well, I'm actually in a grocery store right now, and but I'll come on and I'll just say hi because we're just friends, and so whatever. So I just popped on their stream on my phone, and all these guys just start lambasting me and like just hitting me with this like racism, sort of garbage. They got this narrative where they want to talk about something called an ethno state, which is not a word I'd ever used before that stream in my entire life. I was in a grocery store and they kind of just asked me to defend the points. And I said, well, I'm not really sure on this. And I don't necessarily believe this stuff, but I'll try to talk about it as best I can from that perspective. And they said, okay. And so I did. And then they started screaming and swearing at me.
Okay, now I want to add a little detail in here. I want to add some details in here. So what happened initially was Jon del Arroz was just a cool guy who was part of Comicsgate and promoting a book called Flying Sparks, which has been raved about by many fans who have received it because it is one of the first Comicsgate books to actually ship. And I know that Jon is very proud of that fact, and he should be proud of that fact. And I had heard Jon, on Ethan Van Sciver's stream, which is a very funny stream, Comic Artist Pro Secrets.
I think I met you because of Mike Miller's stream.
And maybe it was because of Mike Miller's stream. Blacklist Universe is absolutely the best stream in Comicsgate today. There's no doubt about that. And I took notice of Jon because on his Twitter feed, he was like waking up in the morning and just going to war with social justice warriors, far leftists, Marxists, Leninists, socialists, all of the evils of the world. Jon was battling every single day, and it was absolutely fascinating to watch.
Yeah, a bit of my background on that is I am a political, I guess, cultural commentator. I've written for Milo Yiannopoulos when he, was in business, and I write for the Federalist still currently, and I've written for a couple other periodicals too. And so I do mostly cultural commentary, but I keep it in the political realm of like what's important to that audience or the conservative core audience, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm also a science fiction writer, so I'd been writing science fiction books for 2-3 years. Came out of the closet as a Trump supporter in 2016, and just suffered hell from that industry because of that over the course of that. So I've just been very used to I guess, fighting this fight against these people, both in the journalism sense and in the science fiction sense. And so when I kind of stumbled upon the comics thing in late 2016, early 2017 also, it was just another front that wasn't actually, I mean, honestly, comics world is not nearly as political or converged as science fiction publishing is. Like it's like a 10 degrees deeper. So it just seemed like child's play to me going up against this personally.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. And so, you know, then it was kind of interesting to see Jon start to, you know, embrace Comicsgate more and more. He was there near the beginning, but he was becoming vocal on YouTube streams, and whether that's
YouTube
Mike Miller's
wasn't
stream
my
or
deal to begin with. So I mean, I wasn't really on a lot of the streams very much. I actually started streaming with Angleteen and Weaponized Nerd Rage um, back in 2017, but I do it like a couple times a quarter. It wasn't like I never wanted YouTube to be my thing. So
and I'm surprised at that actually, because obviously I think everyone now sees how successful you can be on YouTube if you are persistent and you stick with it and you're willing to speak your mind and have an opinion. And you certainly are willing to have an opinion, Mr.
yeah,
Del
totally.
Arroz.
Yeah, not worried about that.
So to continue here with the story though, so there was a point in time, and I'm not gonna, you know, you don't have to comment on any of this because I understand business better than I think a lot of people that we're commenting on here tonight, like the war campaign, do. Uh, so basically, a point in time came when a man named Vox Day, who I had never heard of before this day, came out and did a live stream at the same time that Ethan was doing a live stream. And Vox, in his live stream, was talking about how he had bought the rights to the name Comicsgate or something along these lines and was going to basically open an imprint. Now, Vox has his own comic book company called Arkhaven. Is that correct?
Arkhaven, correct.
Arkhaven, okay. And he was going to start a Comicsgate imprint that anyone would be allowed to use, whether it be Jon del Arroz or me or Ethan or anyone. I mean, anyone. If you're making a comic book and you say you're Comicsgate, you can give it to Vox and he will help you print it and he will help you get it out there.
Yeah, well, pretty cool thing.
And this is something very cool actually that happened, and it was really kind of amazing to see. Ethan said, I want everyone to go over to Vox's stream right now, and I want you to put in there that we are Comicsgate and we reject you. And we all literally went into the live chat on Vox's stream, and so we're watching Ethan's live stream. And
let's look at this. Let's look at this from the outside perspective.
Well, let me finish the story though before you bring in perspective to it.
Okay.
So we all went over there and we all just started typing, "We are Comicsgate. We are Comicsgate." It was absolutely revolutionary because I don't know if before that time this had ever happened where you actually had people from one stream going and infiltrating another stream's chat. And I mean, you could even see in Vox's face that it's like that moment is just it's kind of overwhelming to see this new thing happening. Humans are doing this at this moment for the first time ever and starting a literal live stream feud, if you will. And it was really funny. And Ethan even is like, tell him to turn over the chair to Ethan. Tell him to turn over the chair to Daddy. And it was absolutely silly. And all in good fun. I didn't know who Vox Day was. I don't know him from Adam. I still am not familiar with the situation, to be honest. And so, but this happened, and this Vox Day guy did come out of nowhere. I mean, he had not been a vocal member in Comicsgate at all that I had
absolutely
seen.
False.
That might be absolutely false. So I'm just speaking my perspective on this. So now, Jon, I'm going to go ahead and let you explain your perspective.
So this is what I see right now, and while you might think that's a funny thing, this is kind of why I've started to rally against this whole Comicsgate thing. Ethan says something and directs his fans to go harass somebody, and they do it. And then when the person responds negatively, all the fans get outraged as if the person attacked them out of nowhere. And I've seen this trend, not just with Vox, not just with people on our side, but I've seen it being done to, you know, Mags Visaggio, Gail Simone, people who I don't agree with, obviously, and tonight even with Donnie Cates, right? So this is a trend that I see, and I don't think of it as some sort of like monumental thing to get a mob of followers to go harass another mob. You know, I think it's kind of an ugly thing, and I don't like that kind of thing, to be frank, no matter who it's being done to.
Was that it? Are you done?
Yeah, that's it.
That was it. Well,
Yeah.
I thought it was
I,
really awesome. I thought it
I
was
had to make the point rather than actually go into the history, because I think that's a very important point for what I've been standing for these last few months.
okay. I mean, and that's fair. You're certainly entitled to your opinion. I will never deplatform your opinion. But I just think it was very fun. It was very entertaining. I think everyone, you have to understand that, in retrospect, it could be definitely perceived as something different. But for me, it was just silly entertainment and really enjoyable. What was even more fun than that, not to digress, but when we then did it to DC Comics, when they did their live stream, and we hashtagged Anusgate, that was priceless, priceless.
But
Because
here's
they
the
don't know
deal,
how to deal with it. Vox knows how to deal with it. He's just one dude. He can handle it. A
right?
corporation, they can't deal with that.
That might be funny and all that, but like, so think about it at this point. This has been done to a major company, DC Comics. They know this exists. They're friends with everybody in the major industry. They're in Marvel Comics. Like, that's what gets me. Like, if you're gonna start shit on that level, like, don't get outraged when somebody hates you and denounces your hashtag, because that's what you are doing, right?
The Anusgate hashtag?
Not
Or,
necessarily, not
well,
necessarily
the
that. I'm saying
Comicsgate hashtag.
globally, Comicsgate goes over and harasses this person or this channel or this whatever. It is happening. It's like I'm still getting today. It's
Well,
not
you're
happening,
fast forwarding a few months. I'm still
right?
reflecting on that moment in time when you were still a comic
Right.
skater.
And I didn't see it at the time. That's the thing. That's what bothers me to my core these days. It's like I feel
That
like,
bothers you to your core?
yeah, not necessarily, not this specific thing, but the trend of the followers go harass this person, the followers go harass this person. It existed before I denounced Comicsgate. I saw it. I didn't see it before, and I feel somewhat responsible for actually helping rile up some of these people to make this sort of thing happen against people. And I don't know. Now that I see it, I just don't like it.
Well, I thought it was really enjoyable and really entertaining, and I find it much more offensive that a person in the comic book industry would send a picture of their asshole to another person in public or in private, unwarranted.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
So
that's to me. That's yeah. If a person is upset that we're mass hashtagging Anusgate in a live stream, I think that they earned it. They earned it. Did Vox earn it? Well, from my perspective at that moment in time, where it was like, here's a guy I'd never heard of before that exact moment. All of a sudden, he was saying he's Comicsgate and opening this Comicsgate imprint and all of this with this really shitty logo. And yeah, I thought it was warranted, sure. But I also, but at the same time, I didn't feel like this was a vindictive thing. I felt that this is just something that's in good fun. And Ethan had talked previously, I believe, about knowing this guy Vox Day, and he, talked about how he wrote these 2 great books on SJWs and all this. And
mhm.
that was really the only thing I knew about Vox. It's still kind of the only thing I know about Vox. But it was in the aftermath of us doing that on Vox's chat that you were brought on to the war campaign because
Right.
you were friends, or I mean, I don't know if you're friends personally, but you did a piece of business with Vox in the past. And so
Yeah,
these guys
they
came to
did
you, it
this.
seemed, under the guise of wanting perspective, much like I'm doing here.
Correct. But you're not actually out to torch me. I think it's the difference. But yeah, these
Yeah.
guys were definitely out to torch me, and I didn't know it. And it was dishonest the way they, framed it to me, and it was pretty ugly. But I still don't think that. I don't know. You say, this is it was fun at the time and all that. That I think that's part of the problem, and that's part of what I see is like there's a group that does just want to have fun, and they see something like that as like a harmless thing or whatever. But then there's the group like the war campaign, and their followers and some other people who are just anonymous and not affiliated with whatever, but still go under Comicsgate. But there are a lot of people. It's not, I mean, I see this tweeted a lot, which is, just because there's a couple bad eggs in Comicsgate doesn't mean it's more than a couple. It's too often and too many people that are trying to maliciously just hurt people. And the history between Ethan and Vox at that point was a lot deeper than that, and those people were primed to try to go after Vox by Ethan and his channel. And it was a similar situation where Vox thought it was a good faith thing between him and Ethan, and it was not a good faith thing. Just like the war campaign bringing me onto their stream was not a good faith effort to try to talk to me.
No, I mean, and that was pretty clear within maybe 10 or 15 minutes of listening to it. They kept wanting to label you as what they hated, which was,
Right.
the alt-right, the hard alt-right, and that's the other thing is, excuse me.
What does that even mean, right?
What does that even mean? Because, 3 years ago, the alt-right was Milo Yiannopoulos and Breitbart News. It was not the Richard Spencer kind of co-opted this with the help of the mainstream media. Richard Spencer was able to co-opt the alt-right name and apply that to white nationalism or white separatism, whatever it's called nowadays.
Right. And I wrote for Milo, and Vox is publishing Milo. I mean, so we're part of that. Vox used to work for WorldNet Daily, another conservative website, and I'm obviously with the Federalists. So we're just very run of the mill, right wing people.
Yes, the old alt-right,
Right.
which was just right-leaning people who believed in limited, responsible government, not people like Paul Ryan who believes
more
in
importantly, who are
globalism.
willing to fight back. We're not going to be like the National Review and just
roll over, play dead, or just die.
Yeah. So, and I actually, I was somewhat friends with Andrew Breitbart before he passed away in 2012. Yeah, I've been involved in this stuff for so long. It's just like that's why when these people come to me like this, and I got a tweet at me 2 days ago saying, "Well, he's just a Johnny come lately. I don't even know who he is." And it's like, okay, well, do a little research before you start tweeting. I mean, it's just dumb. But yeah, I've been in those circles for a long time. I got drinks with Andrew Breitbart, and that's actually what kind of got me
on
the train of like wanting to write science fiction and comics and actually trying to do this, trying to keep my focus on culture. You're incentivized as a writer, as a YouTuber, to just go full tilt politics. If I just wrote, about Donald Trump and his wall, I'd get a lot more clicks on my website or whatever for the day than if I wrote about my top 5 favorite indie books. I'd get 1,000 clicks versus 50 clicks or whatever it is, right? It's that big of a differential. And so I was in there, and he told me, look, we've screwed up generations of people because all conservatives, everybody on the right, has gotten out of making comics, making films, making books, out of culture entirely. They've gotten out of teaching entirely. So what we need to do in this upcoming generation, if we're going to change, if we're going to have any shot at changing things back, is we're going to have to bring people into these fields and actually have people teach and make music and make books that are right-leaning, or at least have like some sort of core traditional values in order to actually make a real change, because that's the only way you can subvert people's minds for real. And I'm like, wow, this is deep shit, right? And I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do this, and I really want to make a go at this. And that's kind of what pushed me in a direction to where I really wanted to focus on the arts more.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Now, I have Underworld Dream in the chat is saying that he knows that Vox hates Richard Spencer. He thinks that Richard Spencer is a communist.
Yeah, Vox is very adamant that Richard Spencer is a complete idiot and also inherently left-wing, and I agree with him.
Well, I mean, is Richard Spencer a National Socialist?
Yeah, and a socialist is left-wing, therefore,
very much so.
There you go. Right.
And, I know they like to pretend that Nazis were fascists, but Nazis weren't fascists. That was Mussolini was a fascist. Hitler was a socialist of the highest degree.
The whole conflation of terms in history is not only, it's easy to do with a large segment of the population, and that's frankly what Comicsgate did to me, trying to conflate a bunch of stuff in order to just push me away from whatever things there are.
Yeah. You had a hillbilly Hanzo on there, Gat Handjob, just like literally screaming at you,
And I'm in a grocery store when he's doing this on my phone, and I'm just like, what do I do? I mean, I can barely even speak back. I mean, there's people watching me here. it was a very, very tough moment, and it was not right what they did.
No, it was not right what they did, and it was unfortunate too, because you think at one moment they would have been able to stop and say, "Well, hold on a second. Now, a white supremacist is not going to deny being a white supremacist. They are proud of their views, just like every American is proud of their views and their opinions, no matter what those opinions are. I don't care if it's an SJW in Portland, or it's Jon del Arroz, or it's Vox Day, or it's Ethan Van Sciver. They all validate themselves and their own opinions and their own beliefs and feel that they are right because they've spent time thinking critically about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let me throw this out there. DC Fans United in the chat says he doesn't think it even needs to be political. Just have normal stories and values. Good beating evil and families. Superman and Lois with their son is a perfect comic.
The problem is we're in 2018 now. Everything you do is political. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to be forced to choose a side. Yeah, I mean, even if you're Donny Cates, I mean, you're going to be forced to choose a side because people are going to push and they're going to find out your side somehow. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter what you do at this point. I mean, it is political. A family is political.
When we talk about good beating evil, what is your perspective on evil? Some people would say Orange Man bad. Other people say Orange Man good. And that is where we are at now.
Yep.
You brought up Donny Cates, and I want to go through that a little bit. There have been a lot of people who have been attacked by this war campaign. Now, Donny Cates is not one of them, though. Not yet.
Yeah, this is going to happen in the next week. He's the new target, I think.
Okay, you're making a prediction here. I like that.
This is my prediction. So I noticed there was kind of a trend with how this all went down, is that somebody, a comics pro or me or whoever, would get concern trolled. And concern trolling is when you go onto somebody's feed and they're talking about, I don't know, what's a good topic? They're talking about, I have a friend, Milo Yiannopoulos, and blah, 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 blah. And so you go on there and you go, well, don't you know Milo Yiannopoulos supports pedophiles? Do you support pedophiles? That's concern trolling, right?
That is concern trolling,
right?
100%.
It's that kind of deal, and that gets done to all of these comics pros. Whether for good reasons or bad, or for fun or for actual malicious intent. All these comic pros are getting this all day long at this point, and this is what is done on behalf of whatever Comicsgate / war campaign is now, and this is what I see periodically. So this happens. They get concern trolled, and if they don't respond, they get the concern trolls get more aggressive, right? Mm-hmm. And they once they pick somebody, I feel they pretty much never stop. I've noticed. So it may start out like with one thing, and then it might escalate to the pedophilia thing, because you're going to have to respond to the pedophilia thing, right? So
yeah. And what's so ironic about that is that it was Milo Yiannopoulos did have an adult homosexual male turn him, and this is not uncommon in homosexuality amongst men. Usually, an older homosexual can spot the homosexual tendencies of a younger man, and they proceed to, I guess we could use the term indoctrinate them into the lifestyle.
And it's a gross thing, and he wasn't denying it's a gross thing. But he's saying, like, it's my life, right?
Yeah, so, it's reality.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a heavy topic.
It is a heavy topic, and it's not the topic we're on here tonight.
No, we're talking about just the general way that these people get goaded into this, and then the way that the search and destroy starts to happen. And so the concern trolling happens, and eventually they're forced to respond. Today, that first step was taken. And it was taken by the war campaign. Now, they did it in a passive-aggressive way, because they typically do things in a passive-aggressive way to start, rather than directly going at the guy. They started posting about the guy, saying he's our guy, saying he's part of Comicsgate, saying, he's really... there was one tweet in specific that was, like, very blatant. These creators all want to join Comicsgate, and this, he's.
Let's. I actually have it pulled up here, John. So let's just go through it. Let's talk first. If you're not familiar with Donny Cates, he is a writer of comics: Venom, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Thanos, Doctor Strange, God Country, Baby Teeth, Redneck, A Tomahawk, and more. So all we have to do is just scroll down here, and probably one of my least favorite members of the war campaign. I don't know if he is. See, there's all these technicalities. He is definitely a centurion. I don't know if that makes him part of the war campaign. I don't know if you have to be on the stream to be the war campaign. I don't care.
I'll get into the technicalities element of this, because that's usually step 2 and 3 of this whole process that I notice. So yeah, here's the tweet.
So here's the tweet. So originally it starts with this Lilac Shark, who is a social justice warrior trolling Donnie Cates. And Lilac Shark says, "Wow, didn't even let me finish my thoughts before replying. A real class act, though. Oh, excuse me. A real class act through and through, Cates. Now, here's the problem. I am not going to be bullied out of a franchise that I love just because the guy at the wheel doesn't know how to drive." Donnie Cates responds to Lilac Shark by saying, "No one is bullying you. I genuinely hope you like the book. My friends and I have all worked very hard on it. But hey, if you don't, that's okay. We don't need to fight. No one is making you read it. And I'm not going to course correct because 6 people on Tumblr don't like it." Oh, well, he shrugs his shoulders and walks away. Now we have No Go to Mogo, who is an absolute scumbag of the highest degree. This guy has insinuated that Jon del Arroz is a pedophile. Edwin Boyette has had to come to Jon's defense because that's absolutely disgusting to say about another human being. So,
you know, I wish Edwin would come to my defense about the other lies they tell about me, but I guess that's his limit, right?
Well, I mean, you know, I think that everyone is in a tough situation with the war campaign, and I don't envy anyone who has a bigger voice in Comicsgate because, yeah, that's a tough place. I don't want to be labeled an alt-right Nazi, but I've already been labeled alt-right just for refusing to not unfriend Jon del Arroz on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you know, if you take a stand, and I was talking to somebody because there's somebody prominent who is, and a lot of these people talk to me behind the scenes, who wants to take a stand and isn't sure about it. And I laid out for that person exactly what's going to happen, what it entails, exactly how hard it is, just how bad the harassment will get. And I said, you're going to get this. So know that if you're going to take this stand, do that. I felt that I have to do it because I don't want this to happen to other people. And I don't want people who are dealing with this to have to go through this alone. And so I feel like I'm in a position to where, you know, I can't really be hurt, I guess. You know, they can upset me, but you know, I'm in a pretty stable spot. So I have the ability to do this. And so I am in a different spot than most people, and I understand that. And you know, the person is contemplating it and might come out pretty soon. So I'm optimistic at the way things are going, just because the critical mass has gotten so crazy at this point.
So No Go to Mogo says to Donnie Cates, "There's so many pros who want to join Comicsgate but can't do it publicly." And then, of course, we'll come back. We'll come back to this one. So then Donnie Cates responds, "Nah, man, I'm no one's mascot. I'm not into that Comicsgate thing either. I'm sorry if it's taken me too long to make this clear, but I'm not on your side."
Yep.
So then he also says, "I'm so sorry that I haven't come out against Comicsgate stuff before now. I don't have a good excuse, except that I try and keep my timeline casual and fun, and I appreciate that, Donnie Cates.
I appreciate that too.
But no one is going to use my art to promote something that has attacked my friends. And I'm not about that shit. Full stop."
That's the key line for me. No one is going to use my art to promote something that has attacked my friends. And I saw friends getting attacked, and that's why I said, you know what, I'm going to stand with my friends. And that I just got attacked harder for saying that. There should be nothing wrong with that. My saying I'm going to stand with my friends wasn't hurting anybody else. It wasn't messing with Ethan's business. It wasn't messing with Mike Miller's business. But they all acted like they just way overreacted to it. And this is where Comicsgate tends to go off the rails, and consistently so. So they've got the concern here, which is No Go to Mogo makes the passive aggressive, you know, this guy really is on our side statement, which is public. And he also tags the lady who, Lilac Shark or whatever, and people see this. And so Donnie is then, getting probably flooded with messages saying, "Hey, these Comicsgate guys are saying, you're their guy
Oh yeah,
publicly now," and
he
so
sees the writing on the wall for sure.
he's like, "Oh shit!" Right?
Yep,
I've just tried to keep my timeline free of this stuff, and
here it is.
they forced it on me. Here we
And
go.
let's look at this now. DC Fans United, who is a great comic book fan, very intelligent young man. Great, you got Cates to denounce CG. Good going. And then this moron says, "Oh, good. Oh, I just saved them a bunch of heartache. We've seen plenty of pros get pressured publicly, and it's been reported that there's private pressure to denounce in order to keep the jobs." And of course, another moron comes in. "Oh, LOL, what a pussy." Nah, it's cool. Like I said, people's fucking jobs are at stake, so I figured I'd save him some time. Truth be told, I thought I assumed I was blocked and grabbed that quote from an alternate account. Because you're not a normal person. You have to have multiple accounts because you're a shitbag and people don't want you around. I don't even bother to read a pro's account from my main account usually because I'm a total shitbag. I offend people left and right just for fun because I work at Walmart, which is true. He does work at Walmart. I'm not sure if it's in this stream, but there is, he does unload the trucks at the Walmart. So, and there's nothing wrong with those people, just one of the biggest employers in America. But this guy, he's not going to get a raise anytime soon because you can tell by the way he behaves.
This is where I'm sitting here like, okay, so what are the objectives of these people? And what should Comicsgate's objective? If Comicsgate is what it's supposed to be, which is, we disapprove of the blacklisting of people for right-wing political views because that's what's being done. We want decent stories like DC Fans United was talking about in the chat a little bit earlier, just with good family stuff, with some good versus evil, just very basic superhero stuff that everybody should be able to enjoy. If that's really what it is, then forcing people like Donny Cates into bad situations where he is one of the more reasonable writers who does just have a fun timeline, who does just write good, fun books that are pretty innocuous. Mm-hmm. Forcing him into a situation where has to come out because there's going to be public pressure because you made that public pressure happen is just the absolute dumbest thing you could possibly do. And there's no possible way toward a good outcome for the people you want, which are your Comicsgate community, I guess, right? You want them to flourish. This is going to hit the community again. It's going to divide people again because there's a lot of big fans of Donny Cates in the group, and you're going to see some peel off again. And it just hurts the standing of the hashtag/group again in the eyes of normal consumers and the industry at large. There's no good here.
No, there is no good here. But see, it's not over for Donny Cates. It's not over. And now it's just getting started.
And that's where we go with things. And this is we were talking about conflating terms and using things like to try to gotcha people and all that. And so that the step one is the concern troll here, and they concern troll you until you respond, because once you're a target, they will do it until you respond.
And here comes the left, though, John, out of nowhere. Here comes the left now to respond to him. This is another shitbag whose family probably is embarrassed of them, at Disaster Hawkeye. So you condemn it now because it affects you personally. But a simple, I really condemned this group last year, if not even earlier, when they were already actively harassing women, people of color, and LGBTQ plus pedophile creators. Was too much to ask, since it could have disrupted the fun of your timeline. Okay. So that's pretty much it for poor Donny Cates. Now he just is going to have to go silent for the next couple of days and let this blow over.
I know. Oh my gosh. It's just such a train wreck. And it's like, I don't know. This is bad strategy on all sides. So I pay attention to strategy and all that, and I look at things from a long-term perspective, not a short-term perspective. I don't really care about the short-term perspective because, who knows? I could gain 300 followers tomorrow that I lost over the last couple of weeks. It's really, it's in the short term. It's like the stock market, right? There's the bumps, they go up and down. You can't pay attention to those as a long-term investor. I'm a long-term investor. On the left side, that person is in the extreme SJW position, obviously, and just turned off Donny Cates from that because he just did what they wanted, and yet they gave him no quarter. They just kept attacking anyway. Now, on the other side, Comicsgate forced his hand and forced him into a public position that he really was just avoiding. And so he was forced out of that. And so he really doesn't like Comicsgate right now. So he's going to be a leftist guy as a because
at least in public he is.
He's going to be a leftist guy. You don't work for Marvel unless you're leftist. It's a rule.
Okay.
You get forced out. Chuck Dixon says they force you out. That there's absolutely a blacklist. If you're conservative, you're gone. So anybody who works there to begin with is leftist. It's a small group. They're all friends. They're all leftists together. They know who each other are. That you don't get hired there unless you're on that team. I wrote about this in the Federalist. Back in whenever I started Comicsgate or whatever, right? So that's
going to get you hate, John.
I don't care.
I know.
So that was my discovery. Definitely, I proved without a shadow of a doubt that you, as a writer, you cannot work for Marvel without being leftist. Back in early 2017, so he is. It's obvious he's going to be just because he works there. Now he's maybe not an extreme leftist, right? And he probably doesn't like the extreme left because they're annoying, like that whoever that person was who was like, "Why didn't you denounce this earlier?" Right?
Yeah, right.
But he's still going to be on the leftist side in general. So you're not going to change that. You're not going to make him like the right wing stuff. You can keep him more centrist by treating him right. Right?
That's correct.
And that's kind of where the overall strategy in the long term of this is going to be failing, is because every person on the left now in comics feels like they've gotten hit by stuff like this. And what happens now is what you'll see in the responses to his tweets here is that you'll see, 20, 30 comments going, "I'm Comicsgate and I'm a good person who's a consumer who just buys your Venom books. And I'm very concerned that you denounced me personally." Right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what's going to happen. That's already happening right now. That's step 2 in the concern trolling. So the concern trolling happens. They respond. People who aren't really involved, who are just part of Comicsgate, start going at them. And it hardens him against them. And it actually, when he sees that, he goes, "These people are starting to harass me. I know it. I made the right call." That's exactly what he's starting to think now. Right?
Yes. That's exactly what he's starting to think. And what's sad is that this 10% that identify themselves as War Campaign or Centurions or whatever they want to call themselves, they're driving off the normal consumer, because the normal consumer does not want to be attached to all of the negativity.
Not at all.
Not at all. Now, I know more people who are not Comicsgate than are Comicsgate at this point. And all of these people were Comicsgate.
Right. It's getting pretty big. And a lot of people the thing is the echo chambers are so large because you say something bad about Comicsgate like I have, and they all unfollow you. I've lost, I'd say, a little over 400, 500, close to 500 followers because just of speaking out against Comicsgate. That all, when I was for Comicsgate, were just all rallied around me, and it's just that one term that's their hang up. Right?
Well, why have you not defined, John? Why have you refused to define? You're doing this on purpose. Don't lie. You are doing it on purpose. Why are you saying Comicsgate instead of just War Campaign?
Because there's more than War Campaign here. I would say there's multiple factions of Comicsgate here, and I know this, but you can't, when you're talking to a normal person sees this is Comicsgate. That's it. So when you say Comicsgate, everybody, Donny Cates understands Comicsgate is the people who harass my friends.
But here's the thing that's so effed about this is that 12 hours ago, Donny Cates didn't have a clue what Comicsgate was because he wrote 80 fucking comics this year and he doesn't have time to know. He doesn't have time to be obsessed with Twitter.
but he's heard the term, right? But he just is out of it and he doesn't care. He's leaving it alone, right?
Yeah.
So,
He doesn't really know, but then of course he got the flood of, like we just talked about, he got the flood of messages.
but that's what
Oh,
the
this is what
term
they are. This is what they are. This is what they are. They harass everybody. They harass people,
that's what
transgender people.
that's what the term means to the average comic industry, to everybody who follows Twitter, who reads Polygon, who does all of this. I would say honestly, I mean, there's only 2 or 3% of the industry who knows any of this stuff whatsoever. But of that 2 or 3%, 90% views it just like this. I'm sorry to say. I wish it wasn't the case. Because we had a vision that was a lot more pure early on with the stuff. But it ended up being a cluster, and even the people who aren't war campaign, who may or may not have good intentions, some of the YouTube reviewers, they make these nasty, nasty reviews, just being outraged about people. They then tag all these people. People who aren't necessarily war campaign are harassing on a, I would say, tamer level. Let's go over and just go over to their stream and leave 500 messages. But when you're getting those 500 messages,
are you really seeing that, John,
yeah,
on other people's streams? I don't see that.
no, I would. You just told me you were doing it to Vox 3 months ago, and proud of it.
Uh, that was well before. I mean, the war campaign had not become what we know it today.
This stuff has been happening all across the board. So when you get 500 of those messages, and those are pretty tame, it's still harassment, even though it's pretty tame.
No, it's not
And
harassment.
you get that. Yes, absolutely it is.
Oh my
Absolutely
gosh.
it is. When you get that, plus you get the, really, really nasty stuff, which is the 10% from the war campaign, that 90% harassment, that's light harassment. Let's call it light harassment versus like, oh my God, these people, are borderline, should be something done about them by the police harassment. There's a big spectrum of that, right? But when all that's being done to you at the same time,
I mean, John, I have to disagree with people expressing an opinion is not harassment.
Differentiate from somebody who's like tweeting some negative crap at you in the name of Comicsgate and this Mogo guy. Why would you differentiate? Like, you're getting how many ats per day? Like, I mean, asking somebody to differentiate that while that's all going down is that is
I'm not
asking.
I'm asking you to.
You're asking me to?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
you are.
I'm saying it all needs to stop. Just stop going on these guys. When he's saying Comicsgate is bad because War Campaign is bad, and we know that it is. Stop going. That's me. He's talking about literally me, and I need to go on his feed and tell him I'm never buying his books again because I'm fucking outraged.
Well, I didn't say that.
I understand you didn't say that, but people are saying that right now.
Well,
right?
I mean, why did you harass them then? That would be my question for you. Why are you harassing them?
Why is who harassing?
You. I mean, you have chosen to hashtag Comicsgate and talk poorly about it, knowing that there are numerous good people that identify with Comicsgate. You're harassing them. How is it different than what was done to Vox?
Absolutely not, because Comicsgate has been taken over in the majority of what gets viewed by this sort of harassment campaign. It really has. It's not Comicsgate. It was at one point a just mostly people into books, and then a portion of people, but those proportions have changed big time. You said it yourself just a few minutes ago that many, many, many of your friends have just said, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore. And you know what? You should, because it's just a hashtag. And like, to cling to a hashtag when it is this just like divisive and toxic and terrible of a brand, it's a bad thing. And why do I care? Because, like I said, I started it and I invested heavily into it, and I'm pretty.
It's just a hashtag, though, John.
I'm pretty pissed that like what I did, and my intentions, for like what a movement is. I don't care about the hashtag or the name of the movement. Has really just shifted into this, and that the movement for just what I want, which is conservative representation, and just the ability to just make books and people to enjoy books and to really push indie comics. Those sorts of things have really gotten pushed to the back burner by almost all of the large YouTube channels out there and all the major creators who were kind of the big Marvel DC people to begin with. So it's a bummer. It's a big bummer.
Well, there's so much to unpack there. I don't even know where to begin with it. Mainly because it's 11 o'clock at night here on the Pacific Coast. But I just think that, you have chosen to talk about Comicsgate as a whole, to say that this small group of people represents the entire group just because they are louder. And I think that you shouldn't do that. And I mean, you can see that it's hindered you. You've lost followers. You've lost fans who had bought your previous book, who now will not buy your book.
If people don't get it, it's not, it's frankly not my problem.
But people get your words, John. You're saying Comicsgate.
Yeah, Comicsgate is a problem. I understand. Comicsgate is a problem, and if you think that it's not a problem, we just showed why it's a problem just now, which Donny Cates, the nicest guy in comics, just now, and it's going to get way bad with him as he's going to get harassed.
But that is this is the problem. Okay, this is the problem. You know better. Donny Cates doesn't.
There's no knowing better. I'm not going to defend that kind of behavior, and I'm not going to defend if you're going to willingly ignore that kind of behavior and say, well, gosh golly, these are people doing it in my name. That's too bad. Comicsgate is great. That's part of the problem too. The people not speaking up against this stuff has allowed this to happen, and that is frankly the biggest travesty out of this entire thing.
We can definitely agree on that. But I would just like you to be a little more accountable with your words and responsible with your words, and remember that
I am opposed to Comicsgate because Comicsgate at this juncture is Ethan Van Sciver's monster with his war campaign, who goes around and harasses people under his name.
Okay, so let's define this more then, John. Let's say you are opposed to Comicsgate, but you are not opposed to the 80% of people left in Comicsgate who just want to talk about comics.
I don't oppose comic readers who just like books. Yeah, of course not.
Okay, you should define that more when you are speaking because people don't know. People don't.
Well, people do, and I just defined it.
Well, it's like this, John. It's
I've written blogs about it.
All Hispanics are beggars and tramps. Would you agree?
No, of course not.
Of course they are. Everyone knows they are. Why are you lying?
It's not the same thing because this is a group of like 500 people, and you're
what's
saying
the matter the size of the group?
Because 100 out of the 500 people, because it matters. I mean,
just in California, your state, matters. One of these Hispanics just murdered a cop.
Yeah, it's terrible. But
I know it's terrible. Wouldn't you agree then that Hispanics are bad?
No.
Why?
Look, I understand your argument right there, but it doesn't work because you're using a much larger argument. So when you go to war, right? So when we went to war with Nazi Germany, right? Are Germans the enemy?
Germans were the enemy at that time.
Absolutely, they were the enemy. Now there's just very nice women and children in Germany. How dare you do that to those women and children? That's the same argument on that level, right? So, but here's the deal: when it is a large enough of a proportion of things, it matters, and you can get into this. Well, how do we define words over and over and over again? But you need to be able to just speak clearly and be able to speak about things reasonably in order to just talk about words. So if you say that Germans are our enemy in World War II, you are obviously not saying the woman who's just milking her cow, at 6 a.m. and trying to feed her children. You are obviously talking about the state of Germany and the military and all of that. And so when this goes on, this is, again, a large enough of a portion of Comicsgate at this point that it's a problem. It's a consistent problem. People are getting hurt. We had Nerdette get hurt just the other day. We had Nerd Wonder get hurt last week. It is consistent. It's happening to a person a week, or maybe even faster, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, I think a person a week is fair, but I still think you have a large proportion of Comicsgate, John, who want to fight to save the name Comicsgate. I don't know if it can be saved.
The brand is so bad at this point. There's no reason to be doing that. It doesn't even make sense.
But all I really want is for you to not lose fans and alienate people who are good people.
Well, the people who are watching the stream understood what I just said. And
I didn't understand, John, and I have an above average intelligence.
So since I'll lay it out for you clearly.
No, you've already laid it out. You've already laid it out. I'm just saying in the future, going forward, make sure to say, remember that if you're just a normal person who loves comic books and I still identifies as Comicsgate, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the regular serial harassers who identify themselves as war campaign centurions. It's okay to say that. It's okay to add more. I mean, on Twitter, it's hard because
But
you're
it's more
limited.
than just the World Campaign Centurions. It's happening. I mean, Edwin's doing it to people on a regular basis. Umbrella's doing it to people on a regular basis. Yellow Flash does it to people on a regular basis. It is all the major YouTubers go out and pick these fights with people and harass people and sick their fans on people. And all of those people are just Comicsgate. They're not necessarily War Campaign.
I have honestly not seen that from Edwin Boyette.
Well, then I'm sorry that you haven't seen that. It's too bad.
Don't be sorry. I'm happy that I haven't. I really like Edwin. The only issue I would have is like the thing that happened between him and Sashi. I wish that could be repaired.
Well, the way that he assisted in the hurting of Popefire made it irreparable for me. I was not okay with how that went down.
I understand that. I am not familiar enough with that situation. I'm somewhat familiar, but
again,
having not been there firsthand,
these patterns are there's too many patterns going on with too many people, and it's all under the banner. And so that's why I don't use the banner, and that's why I denounce the banner, because the banner at this point is a problem. It needs to be just holistically looked at, changed, and brought back to what it's supposed to be.
Now I have Ethan Van Sciver in the chat, and I would like to invite him in. You are invited in here, Ethan. Can you?
I'm not going to talk to Ethan Van Sciver on a live stream. If he wants to talk to me privately, I'll talk to him privately.
But he can't earn super chats in here. This is great. This is perfect.
No, it's not great. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this pit against live stream thing. It's not fun.
Well, I'm such a good.
It's not okay.
I'm a good moderator.
No, I'm not okay with this. So I'll leave if he's.
No, I don't want you to leave. I don't want you to leave. I invited you on. I don't want you to be upset. I'm just saying that Ethan is in here.
If Ethan would like to talk to me privately, I'm happy to talk to him privately and work something out, because that's what men do.
Well, I just want to say for the record that you have not been very private, John.
All right. This is pretty good at Attack Me stream, and this is all false at this point. I attempted to work everything out ahead of time with everybody privately multiple times, and I didn't start actually coming out against Comicsgate until people started going really off the rails on me in November. So I spent 2 months being very quiet about things and not attacking anybody, yet that was not afforded to me back. And I'm sorry that this whole movement seems to not be able to remember anything more than a week ago, unless it's something like try to attack somebody with. This happens all the time.
John.
You know better. You know better.
And I just I would love to be able to have you and Ethan talk, and I think that it is okay for other people to.
It's not going to happen here.
Listen, I'm not going to interrupt. I'm only going to interrupt if someone's trying to railroad someone else.
All right.
I'm just saying that the opportunity is here now.
Because Ethan's bringing people into the chat, and it's becoming a negative thing.
Don't get out of here.
I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm done. So we're not going to do this. I've been down this road before, and we're going to stop because I said I want to stop at this point. Okay.
Well, I can't force you to do anything you don't want to do.
Thank you very much for
I am going to offer Ethan the link, though, if you're going to leave.
That's fine. I mean, that it's already become a sort of chat thing where people just want to kind of bag on me a little bit. So you guys can go do that without me, and I'll go back to my
I'm not going to bag on you at all. I like you.
All right. Well, I don't see this going in a good way. So I'm going to go back to making comic books.
Well, this is probably the most unbiased opportunity you could have.
I disagree. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, we have had a civil conversation here, and I appreciate that. And I know we're going to talk again in the future.
Yeah. So I'm happy to talk about this stuff at any time. I want the harassment of pros and the harassment of people who speak out about things like this to stop. That's all I care about. I think people are getting hurt. I think people are in a bad spot, and I want to defend those who are weaker, because that's just kind of the kind of person I am. That's how I was.
Hey, John, what kind of person are you exactly? What is going on with this endless game with you of going around and announcing that you created Comicsgate?
Thanks, Ethan.
Of writing dishonest articles about how you're going to teach everyone how to win. I'll just proceed. Is that okay, Crypto?
Yeah,
by the way, my
fine.
name's Ethan. How are you?
I'm Matt. I'm also testosterone overload sometimes.
Oh, it's a pleasure. That's good. I was like, who is this guy? His channel's great, and he's owning Jon del Arroz here.
We were just having a nice civil conversation.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know what to do about this guy anymore. I really don't know what to do anymore. He, here's what happened. No, I'm fair. Jon del Arroz is someone who I had on.
I'll
my
be the
channel.
judge of if you're fair or not, Ethan.
Well, feel free. I mean, I will. And by the way, listening to the way that you handled that interview, I have no doubt that you will.
I will be.
Yeah. So Jon del Arroz had been on my channel several times. I thought I enjoyed his company. Unfortunately, when I ran into trouble with Vox Day, which was a widely misunderstood, and I think John initially had a pretty good take on what happened there. He called it two men talking past each other, who probably had, some of the same goals for comics. That was his assessment. But who just misunderstood each other. And I thought that was generous of him, but it was incorrect. Vox Day did actually, utilize, Comicsgate as a hashtag to get himself some attention. And he did try to set up an imprint in order to force people who had already given their hearts to a movement to associate with him. And that was the big problem. People didn't want the forced association with Vox Day. Now, Jon del Arroz is and so it fell upon me. And I find myself, kind of having to take somewhat of a leadership role in Comicsgate now and again when it becomes necessary, because my channel, other than, Diversity in Comics, is one of the biggest, I think it is the biggest Comicsgate related channel. So my voice is the loudest, and what I say tends to get out to the most people. So at the time, we discussed it privately and decided on a solution for how to thwart Vox Day from starting a comic book imprint called Comicsgate, and thereby asking people who aligned with Comicsgate to come through him. And give him this title of Comicsgate, which would kind of imply that everyone, everyone who aligned with Comicsgate would have to answer for his views. People were just uncomfortable with it.
Sure.
So we were able to thwart it. Vox Day was very, very angry. And by the way, I had sent Vox Day a message before this happened. And I'd said to him, Vox, don't do this. And then I said this to him. I said, as a friend, don't do this, when he told me that he was about to launch this thing. And now when I say as a friend, that's a magic word. That means, hey, look, seriously, we're not playing games here. If you do this, we're going to have trouble. And I will no longer speak to you. And I was speaking to Vox Day, on the telephone once a month. He would email me now and then, and we had pleasant conversations, even though we disagreed, and I didn't know the extent of his sort of belief system. I wasn't really aware of it. I'm new to Gamergate. When did you
become aware of it, Ethan?
That's a great question. Somebody sent me a description of Vox Day's beliefs from his blog that contained the 14 words. And I'm not sure when that was, but it was after the Comicsgate fiasco. And at that point, people had said Vox Day's a Nazi, and I said, well, they call me a Nazi too, and I'm not a Nazi. So these look, I think Vox Day has some personality quirks, and he certainly is far right wing. But that's that's okay. I can, the 14 words, I can't do the white supremacy thing. I can't associate with that. I can't have that. I can't be around it. So that's when I became aware of.
I'd like to clarify for the people out there that it's not actually the 14 words are not that I read. That I read his list, and the 14 words do not signify white supremacy. Technically, it is the security of a homeland for white children, and I believe it could be easily construed.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
but you don't believe in
No,
that.
no, that's not my thing. And I, I can't. It's. Look, I don't. It's not something that Comicsgate wants to be aligned with either, as far as I know, or people who align with Comicsgate or feel close to it.
I agree with that.
So something had to be done. Well, in any case, Vox Day and I had a little kind of maneuver, a legal maneuver. I threatened to sue him, and during all of this, it became clear that Jon del Arroz was Vox Day's friend. I mean, like really a loyal friend. I would say, you know, it became clear that Jon del Arroz was Vox Day's toady.
Oh, I think that's going a little too far.
I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because Vox Day said to me, he said, "You think you can get around me? You think you can get around this copyright issue?" He's like, "You don't understand. We've been through Gamergate. I'll show you what the SJWs are going to do to you to fuck with you about your copyright, your trademark stuff with Cyberfrog. You think you're protected? You're going to see." And he started sending all these weird threats to me about things like that. And I kind of went, all right, what are you going to do? I'll just kind of ignore you, and you'll probably end up going away. Well, the next thing you know, Jon del Arroz, who was feigning kind of politeness, apparently, sends me an inbox saying, "Hey, man, I don't know if you know about this, but did you see this?" And he sends me a link. And it's an Amazon.com link for a book called Cyberfrog, but it's spelled TSY, like Cyberfrog. And it's brand new. It's up on Amazon, and it's got a picture of a bullfrog on it.
How was the art?
I didn't. You could only look at the first 3 pages, and there was no art. It was it was just all text. It was a book.
Oh, it's okay.
So he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know, man. That's weird, isn't it? That's weird how people can just do that with copyright. I was like, John, you. John thinks he's way smarter. Well, John is very, very smart.
John is a very intelligent man.
Yeah, he is. He's very intelligent. But he isn't. John thinks he's clever. Let me put it. John thinks he's wily, and John is not wily. John is transparent, very transparent. I'm like, so in other words, let me ask you a couple questions, John. This just went up today. How did you stumble across this? Were you just searching? Did you misspell Cyberfrog as you searched Amazon.com for something of mine, and you just stumbled across this by some wild coincidence? You're here on a mission from Vox Day to fuck with me. And you're not admitting it. You're like, oh yeah, I know. You're acting oily about it and unctuous and goofy and silly.
Unctuous. Wow. And they say you can't write.
I can't write.
Well, if you need somebody, I'm available.
Is that right?
Okay. That is 100% true. You can ask now, sir.
So that was when I knew Jon del Arroz was a snake. Okay. That was when I knew. That was when I knew for myself. And I cut Jon del Arroz off at that point. I was like, all right, so I see what you're doing. I don't blame you. You're a Vox Day loyalist. But it's insulting. And
you don't feel that this was just a rib?
No, not with the way things were with Vox Day at that point.
Okay.
You understand? Like, it would be a rib if Vox Day and I were friendly, but Vox Day was doing daily live streams and vicious attacks. And he was using Jon del Arroz as Vox Day does. Vox Day uses people. He goes, who do I know that I can use to reach out to this person who has cut me off? And that's kind of how Vox Day operates and continues to operate that way.
Now, let me ask you about this rumor, Ethan, that I had heard recently, that Ethan Van Sciver and Vox Day were actually planning on creating their own imprints and having them go head to head in a war like DC and Marvel. Is that any truth to that?
There's zero truth to that. I haven't even heard that rumor. Okay. No, I had no plans. I think at one point, early on, when I'd initially left DC Comics, like before people knew in February, I think I was pretty scared, and I think I probably reached out to Vox Day and said something like, "Yeah, like eventually we're probably going to have to team up." And I'm making plans in my head about how I'm going to put together a thing, a working venture, and he's already got this thing going. So yeah, he used to write to me and say, "Hey, when are you going to come work for me?" And but at that point it was like, yeah, maybe like that's going to be the thing. But no, at no time were we planning on doing joint anything, really. Yeah, not a true rumor. And I would let you know if we were. My friendship, as it were, with Vox Day is embarrassing, but I have to kind of be frank about it and be honest about it, because it existed and it doesn't really do anything, doesn't do much good to lie about it. People will tell you that Vox Day is fun to talk to. He is. He's you know, he's a lot of fun to talk to.
He definitely seems like quite a character. He has definitely developed an interesting character, it seems like.
That is true. Yeah, yeah. So that was it. And Jon del Arroz went on a full on. I don't even know. After that, I kind of cut Jon del Arroz off. But I think other Comicsgaters were investigating him, and I know he appeared on the War Campaign on one of their early live streams. And yeah, it was something else. I listened to it again the other day because I wanted to see if I remembered it right, because there was some controversy about it. And I wanted to see if I recalled exactly what Jon was saying. And Jon said at one point, look, I used to work for, I was on the debate team. And so, I can debate someone else's ideas. So I'm debating, I'm telling you what Vox Day believes. I'm not telling you what I believe, but he gave a very impassioned and I don't know, believable, defense for white nationalism.
But I'd like to also say that he stated numerous times that he was not a white nationalist. And as you had just said the other day on a stream, white nationalists, white supremacists are not going to shy away from that. They're proud of what they believe.
Absolutely.
Just like all of us are.
Yeah. No, he did say, he's like, no, I am not. But, then again, it was still very, very confusing, and it set the war campaign off. Now, Jon, by the way, I listened to the stream the first time and said, this guy's advocating for white nationalism. Now, Jon, the war campaign, apparently, and the people who were listening to that stream were pissed at Jon because they felt like first of all, he's an associate acquaintance of Vox Days. And he seems to be advocating for white nationalism. Again, another one that we have to root out of Comicsgate, I guess. And it's starting to get uncomfortable because we don't want to be policing people's speech. I mean, nobody wants to do that. But yeah, it's like we've already kind of just established that people are going to be coming after us and writing articles. If you're Comicsgate, you're a Nazi. And then we've got these people who are very eloquent spokespeople for a point of view that people just don't want to associate with. Now, Jon told me, he said, I wasn't saying that I feel that way. That's something. So I wrote back to Jon and said, yeah, I think, okay. Did I hear you wrong? Then I think you're owed an apology from everyone who was saying that you are. I think you're owed an apology, and you need to kind of, make it clear, like, how you feel. Jon went on from there to sort of become a nuisance. He disappeared for a long time. I really don't know what happened particularly after that, but I started to see Jon's name pop up and talking trash about me. And when he talked trash about me, he would add this thing that I said that he was owed an apology and that he deserved an apology. And when was I going to apologize to him? And it became really, really strange. It became kind of uncomfortable. And I would say something to Jon, and Jon would deliberately, it seems, run with it in a desire to get attention. And the last thing, he would go to his Facebook page and he'd say, oh my God, Ethan came after me. Ethan, well, only because you were shouting my name and saying awful things about me on Twitter. If I respond, I'm not coming after you. You're hoping for a reaction from me, and you got it. You should be happy. And indeed he was. It seemed very happy to play the victim, which is something that Jon kind of tends to do on his Facebook page. So the last thing that happened was Jon talking about my ego and how I'm a tyrant and all of this just crazy stuff. I'm just a dude with a big YouTube channel and a top-selling comic book. I understand how it looks, and but I'm not. Well, I'm very humble. I'm very humble. But these are just facts. I understand. Somebody said, I can't remember what it was, but somebody asked me like how Jon del Arroz is, we need to fix things between Comicsgate and Jon del Arroz. And my opinion on this is that Jon del Arroz is the trust people. He's untrustworthy. People aren't going to exactly invite him in as friends anymore because Jon has completely destroyed people's trust in him. Everything is an op.
Now, let me ask you this, though, Ethan. Now, on the opposite end, people would say that you're not very trustworthy. And they would point at Jon del Arroz, and they would point at Tim Lim, and they would point at Brett R. Smith. Mm-hmm. And they would say, what happened to all of the conservative creators in Comicsgate?
I'd be happy to talk about it. What happened to Tim Lim is that...
Well, we know that one.
Oh, I've talked about it endlessly. I don't. What can I tell you? I'm not in charge of. You
You are
know,
in charge, whether you like it or not. So just accept responsibility.
I can't. I can't accept responsibility for people's hurt feelings. I can't. I can't accept people's responsibility for feelings that they have that I can't explain or that don't make sense to me intellectually. I don't understand. I understand Tim Lim's initial problem, but I apologize to him for that many
Nice
times.
Okay.
I said, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I understand how, sometimes my big mouth, somebody asked me, hey, are these Trump comics, are these Comicsgate? And I just answered in a very kind of, cold way that no, they're not Comicsgate. I didn't know Tim Lim did them.
I didn't think you were cold. Actually, I was listening that night. I thought you were very lackadaisical about it.
Which
but
some people
because people look to you as the leader here, there's this subsection of people who are followers, and I don't mean like they subscribe. I mean followers, like Jonestown.
I give people more credit than that, and that's a ridiculous. I do. That is a hateful way of looking at.
I don't think it's hateful.
You don't think it's hateful to assume that people are automatons and cultists?
A subsection of people? No. I live in Portland, bro. Like, there's a subsection of people that need a leader. It's just like when this country was founded, they wanted George Washington to be king. Thankfully, George Washington was a better man than that.
Well, I'm an even better man than George Washington.
Oh,
I don't I don't want to be king. I don't want to be anything. I don't want to be president. I don't want to be the leader of Comicsgate. I don't ask for this responsibility.
I don't like being Caesar. Heavy as the head.
I like being called Caesar. Yeah, I think it's funny. But there's a reason for that I've never told someone, and I've never told anyone. I'm not telling you.
Everyone wants to know.
There's no chance that I'm.
Does it have to do with a woman?
Yeah, in a roundabout way. Yeah.
In a roundabout way. Okay. Does it have to do with Turkish bathhouses?
No.
Okay. San Francisco bathhouses, maybe? Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
I promise you that is not the case. But there are other reasons for it. But let's just put it that way. But in any case, I think it's funny. I think the Hail Caesar thing's funny. I know it gets on other people's nerves, people who are inclined to think that John called me a monster in here.
Did he?
Yes, he showed up just in time. He didn't know I was here. I was just in time to hear John go, no, he called Comicsgate a monster. It's Ethan's monster now. I think
kind of has become a monster.
Say that again?
It kind of has become a monster in ways. I feel that way.
Explain yourself.
Okay. I know, like I was telling John, you might not have heard this, but I think I now know more people who were once Comicsgate and no longer identify as Comicsgate. And they're good people, and it makes me sad because it's almost like they're people who don't have a home anymore. And they all put the blame for this on the same group.
Who?
That would be the war campaign.
They blame, I'm sorry, they blame the war campaign.
I think what it is that the behavior of the war campaign has tired them out and run them down, and it's hard when, we can talk about it when you call, like girls within our, let's face it, there are not a lot of girls who like comic books, Ethan, no matter what the left wants to pretend. So anytime we have girls around, I think a lot of us are very happy to have women around. And you have a lot of women who have been called mean names, and women don't like that. And, I'm just looking here right now at Praetorian, who called Nerdette a freak of nature.
Well, that's not nice.
No, it's not nice. And then he later says, when someone says freak of nature, she is not, does Road Warrior Drake need to arm his guns in defense of fair Nerdette? Praetorian says, did you just threaten a retired federal police officer? You know that's a federal offense. Which is pathetic. That's about the most pathetic response I've heard.
He might be joking.
Well, I mean, is that something you would joke about?
Yes, perhaps I would. If I would joke about anything that people said, that people were kind of saying about me behind my back, that wasn't true, I would. I don't know.
You would make a threat to pursue legal action, a vague, veiled threat that you're going to cause legal problems for a person?
Why not? Why? I don't understand. What is the context? Why is that the worst thing you've ever heard? To
No, it's not
threaten
the
to
worst
sue
thing I've ever
someone?
heard. It's just, we're talking about freaking comic books. Like, at no point would that ever come up in a conversation that, we're all here to talk about comic books, aren't we?
Well, crypto comics, this is the thing about people not associating with Comicsgate anymore, is it doesn't make any sense to me. Comicsgate is simply just being red pilled to the reality of the comic book industry. Either your eyes have been open to the fact that comic books have been taken over by left wingers, or they haven't. It's not a matter of I used to belong to Comicsgate. Now I don't. Either you believe that the comics have become too political, and there's an SJW scourge that's taken over comic books, that is ruining comic books, and you'd like comic books to be the way they were, or you disagree, you changed your mind, or something like that. But it's not. I used to belong to this club, this really friendly club, and now I don't because people were mean to me. There's no guarantee. This is something that we run into over and over again. I think Mindy Wheeler had the same issue. There's no guarantee that people are going to take you in and be warm or kind. That's not what this is. That's not what Comicsgate is. Comicsgate is just a lot of people who have noticed the very same thing. And you might make friends, and you might not. And you might do business with some of us who are starting businesses based on Comicsgate ideals. You might not. You might succeed. You might fail. But the idea of somebody ever saying, I used to be Comicsgate, but now I'm not, unless they've changed their mind and they suddenly think comics are egalitarian at this point, politically, and also aren't obnoxious with, far left-wing ideology and this diversity and representation poison, that it's just all this garbage. If they've changed their mind about that, then they can say that they're no longer Comicsgate. But you either are Comicsgate or you're not. And it doesn't mean you're going to have any friends here. You might have friends if you're really nice and people like you. There might be Comicsgaters who are mean to you. It has nothing to do with the overall thing of Comicsgate, which is the presentation that Jon del Arroz would like to offer you. Jon del Arroz would like to suggest to you that Comicsgate is a problem. How could Comicsgate ever be like a monster that someone created? It is simply, a consumer uprising, disagreement with the fact that comics have completely fallen into the hands of far left wingers.
I would say that all these people still agree with all of the ideals of Comicsgate. I think that
but they don't want to hang out. That's okay.
They all still hang out with each other. This is the weird, bizarre part of it, Ethan, is it's like saying, oh, I don't live here anymore, but there's nowhere else to go. Like, we're all still together in this, whether we like it or not. And it's like we have this giant family feud going on. And I would love to see how we can resolve it.
Honestly, I don't think we can resolve it.
Oh,
I think there are some.
I appreciate that honesty.
Yeah, there are some people. I mean, with people like, with people like Jon del Arroz, is that a problem that we can fix? I don't think it is, because I've determined, based on his behavior towards me personally and his behavior that's been chronicled elsewhere endlessly, that he is a shit poster who, is going to, like, even now, his entire conversation with you completely sussed out was disingenuous. It was pointed. It was part of his strategy to quote unquote win. Jon del Arroz uses Trumpian tactics, and he does it as a dick. So it's, that is who he is. Now, can we ever get along? Is he going to completely change who he is and his behavior? No, he and I are never going to get along. And if being part of Comicsgate means that this is an enormous community, something that I say it isn't, then that you're constantly going to butt heads and be disappointed with the fact that, you're hoping that this is a clique that you can belong to, and it isn't, and you might not. And that's just the way it is. Comicsgate is just an awareness of a problem within a hobby that we all love. And so somebody like Jon del Arroz, who claims that he created Comicsgate, that's cool, whatever that means. You create Comicsgate, you can go and have your own faction of people who say, I am Comicsgate. Okay. And you can, Tim Lim and those guys who have problems with me. It's all about me. They seem to have problems with me. And that means that they're all right. So they can go do their own thing and still be Comicsgate. I am Comicsgate by myself. And anybody who wants to come watch my show or buy my comics or anything like that, because they also agree with the things I'm saying and they are fundamentally Comicsgate in spirit, they're welcome to be here too. And maybe we can be friends. Maybe cliques do grow out of this, but it's not Comicsgate. It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, or it's the Ethan Van Sciver fan club, or it's Ethan Van Sciver's friends. And that's a totally different thing that people are getting confused about.
That sounds kind of like a good children's show. Ethan and Friends. I kind of like that.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people would be welcome. There would be puppets, sock puppets. Wink, wink. Just kidding, Crypto. I don't have any sock puppets.
What's wrong with sock puppets?
I don't know. I don't use them. I use shock troopers called the War Campaign.
Don't call them that, Ethan.
I'm sorry. That's what they were called. And I acknowledged. I said, that's what they are. They're shock troopers. As soon as somebody calls me a name on Twitter, I assemble my War Campaign to go after them.
This is he's admitting it, people. Listen.
Yeah. And they say, Caesar, hail Caesar. I'm like,
they say, Heil Caesar.
Yeah, go chop off their heads. Go decapitate people.
He is like the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. If people don't realize it.
I'm just as fat. So believe it. Yeah.
How fat are you really? And how tall are you?
6
Cummings really made everyone think you were 5'7".
No, he said 5'4", I think. I'm 6 feet tall.
And how much do you weigh? When was the last time you weighed yourself?
I weighed myself yesterday. I'm 265 pounds.
Holy shit, that is fat.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm serious. I've been 265 pounds. That's fat.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet tall, and I probably weigh 235 pounds now, and I'm still fat.
You're fat, yeah. I got down to. Well, listen, I'm sitting here working on a
very sedentary lifestyle. Yes,
it sucks. I would love to get out and run around. I'd love to get out and do stuff. But yeah,
someone might punch you in the face, Ethan. You're very controversial. I would understand why you don't leave the house.
Well, I don't know. Whatever happens, Crypto. You know,
does the Crypto Comics logo make you think of upside down pie?
No, it doesn't. It makes me think of the Illuminati.
Oh, good. It is technically an upside down vagina with a penis going into it if you really look at it.
No, I don't see that.
Okay, well, maybe you've never seen that before. Fair enough.
I don't usually. No, I'm not usually looking at it from that angle. But anyway, yeah.
So here's the real question: is can we agree that you'll stop talking about Tim Lim on streams? Because every time I click on there, you're talking about Tim Lim, and I'm so tired of hearing about it.
I can't even remember what do I ever talk about Tim Lim?
God, you were talking about him today.
Yeah, somebody asked me, and it's like I have to kind of look. It's like,
what do we have to do to resolve all this? Is there anything we can do to just go back to where we were 6 months ago, Ethan, when you were on top of the world? I mean, you're still on top of the world, but back then you had just made $400,000 on Indiegogo as the most successful campaign in history.
Right.
Can we go back to that? How do we go back to that? I mean, we can never go back, but how do we go forward to that again?
Look, I how many more times do I have to reach out to people and have them stab me in the back before I stop reaching out to them? How many more times? You tell me, because I'll do it. 3 more times? I mean, once these people kind of reveal who they are, you have to believe them. How many more times? Hey, I'm going to reach my hand out to people who obviously wish me ill. You just said, hey, people want to punch you in the face.
No, not people in Comicsgate.
Yes, they do. I can list those people. And those people have made it clear. Those people have made it clear time and time again that they wish me ill. And then, I'll reach out my hand and they do it again. So, how many more times? What do I have to do? Is Comicsgate in disrepair? Is that what this is? According to you, Comicsgate is a club. Or if Comicsgate were a club and it were a clique, have we just removed bad actors? I remove bad actors from my circle. from my inner circle, people who obviously did not wish me well. And every single time, and of course you didn't see this because you're not behind the scenes, you know, you're not involved, you know, in some of the chat that goes on and some of the stuff that happens. But, you know, every single time when you reach out your hand to people who you've had to push away from you because they mean you harm, nothing changes. This is something you learn. You learn that people who let you know who they are, who have made it clear once that they wish you ill, will always wish you ill. Very few people change, and they might change for a little while, and then they kind of change back again. And that's the sad truth. Ask Tim Lim, say, what did Ethan mean by 3 strikes?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
Say, what did Ethan mean to you when he said 3 strikes to you?
Oh, you said it to him.
That's right. 3 different times where I had to say, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What was he doing?
I can't even remember now. I've forgotten. I've moved on. I push forward. I don't look backwards too much. I have to look backwards to remember what happened with Vox Day. We've moved on. We've moved on past that. Jon del Arroz, we've moved on past that. We're trying to do something, you know, we're pushing forward and trying to produce something good and make actual change in comics. You can't look backwards, and you can't keep constantly trying to help people to not hurt you. Doesn't work that way. And let me help you. Let me give you another chance to not let me down.
Now, letting you down, I mean, that's just something that happens, brother. That's just something that happens. What I want to say is, I want to say that there's 3 sides to every story. There's your side, there is my side, and there's the truth. And no one is lying, because experiences that are shared serve each person differently.
No, there is actually the truth, and there are people that lie. I disagree with you.
No, there are people that lie, but
and I endeavor to tell the truth, and I endeavor to tell the truth even when it's embarrassing to me.
You endeavor to tell the truth even when you lie.
No, lying is okay. Lying is a very deliberate act. I can be incorrect about things, and people can point them out. I was incorrect when I said, Jon del Arroz, you said that you were a white nationalist on the war campaign, and he said, go listen to it again. That's not what I said. And I listened to it again and said, you're owed an apology. I said that to Jon del Arroz. You know, you can't just constantly hope and allow yourself over and over to fall into the same trap. You can't ask people to make it so that they become non-toxic to you when they've made it clear that they want to be toxic to you. It's just not something that you can do. And it would be great if you could. The thing about Jon del Arroz is I watch him talk, and I like some of the things he says. And he seems to be a likable guy. He's very jovial. He's very bright. I would love to have Jon del Arroz as a friend, but I can't because my head doesn't swivel all the way around. I can't see my back. I can't watch my own back all the time. And there are some people who have made it clear that in order to be their friends and in order to have them around you, you do need to have a head that turns 180 degrees.
That's true, but you've got to be used to that by now. I mean, you've been in the comic book industry for 35 years.
The comic book industry was never like this.
Really?
No,
so
the comic book industry.
With
comic
Trump?
book industry changed with Trump for me. That's when I noticed it. I started to notice a few wacky things before that, but the election of Trump, that was it. Everything just came undone. If you were an out right winger, and you know, that was it. That was it for you. People felt. I understand. I think it's unreasonable, but it certainly is something that I can comprehend, that there was a whole half of the country that felt powerless and helpless and full of fury and rage. It wasn't just that Trump was elected. The fact that Trump was elected meant that all of their plans, everything that they'd worked for, had been thwarted. Donald Trump being president for the next just 4 years meant a conservative Supreme Court for the next generation. It meant all kinds of things that they realized and they knew, and they were patting themselves on the back over. until that was all taken away from them. The rage that they must have felt was incomprehensible, and they had to take it out on someone, and they can't take it out on anyone except for the people in their immediate circle. Who made this happen? Who caused this to happen? Who can I punish for this? And this isn't just comics. This is everywhere. This is absolutely everywhere. We're talking to Martina Markota, who is a part of Comicsgate, because she was an exotic dancer. She was what's that called? God damn it! The word always. Well, it's not. I want to say exotic dancer, but it isn't. Burlesque. There it is.
Okay.
She's a burlesque dancer in New York City, and as soon as people knew that she supported Trump, when Trump won, that was it for her. Her career as a dancer in that club was over, and they tried to ruin her life. Her story is no different than mine. You know, it's no different than people who are in video games. You know, it's no different than you know, anyone else who has found themselves in trouble with social justice warriors who have taken over their industry. And it really came into focus, and it really became pronounced after Donald Trump's election. So,
can I read something to you out of the Bible, Ethan?
Oh my God! Yeah, go ahead.
This is Romans 1, and it really reminds me of the SJWs. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like a mortal human being, and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore God gave them over to their sinful desires of their hearts, to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged to natural sexual relations for unnatural ones.
I thought this was just a passage in the Bible.
You
read
the whole
Bible?
Don't interrupt the Bible.
All of Exodus?
This is all, right, Romans 1.
Romans. Okay, go ahead.
In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. And I would say that clearly defines the left today.
Well, yeah, and it defined the left then too.
Yes, since the beginning.
Well, there you go. So, you know, that is what we all face. And I mean, you know, if that's important to you, if it's important to you to actually stand up against that, we're all going to stand up against that, I guess, in different ways. It would be great if we could all stand up together and do a joint Care Bear stare.
Ooh, I love Care Bear stare.
Me too, but we can't. You know, some of us just don't like each other, and that's okay.
Which Care Bear would you be, Ethan?
Grumpy Bear.
You would be Grumpy Bear, huh?
Yeah, definitely. He's blue.
Oh, is your favorite color is blue?
Of course.
Of course. Yeah. Why of course?
Well, I'm trying to think of what Care Bear looks the most masculine. And I think that's Grumpy Bear. If I were a little boy and my mom said, I have to get you a Care Bear instead of a Transformer, which one's it going to be? I think I would kind of grit my teeth and point at Grumpy Bear. And Grumpy Bear is indeed in Rainbow Brute. Plays a big role in Grumpy Bear, in Rainbow Brute. So.
My favorite was always Bright Heart Raccoon, the Care Bear cousin.
Well, that's, you know, they're inbred. I love that silence. That was great.
I just made me think, like, how are Care Bears created? There are no mommy and daddy bears. Maybe they're illegitimate offspring of the Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, God did it.
When is Rainbow Brute going to be launched? Do you have a date for that yet?
Yeah, it's sometime in February.
Okay. When are you hoping to get Cyberfrog to the printer?
Probably the second week in January. It'll get off to the printer.
And, are you excited to finally have it done?
Yeah, but I'm excited to have it done because people are going to be excited to get it. Mm-hmm. But it's just the first part of a 4-part story, and it's a long way to go. We have a long way to go with this story, and the first part is, I think it's good. I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
You write this all by yourself?
Yeah. It turns out I really enjoy it. Yeah, I didn't think that I would. But I really do enjoy writing. I enjoy having control over a story. And I think over time, especially with the help of somebody like Dave Sim, I'm going to become a very good writer. I couldn't be worse than the people who are writing comics today.
That's 100% true.
95% of these comics are unreadable. And when people, you can't write comics. Are you kidding me? Like, how dare you? How dare you? Of course I can. Of course I can. Almost anyone can. And better, better than most of these people. Very few people in comics that are writers who are actually really, really good writers. I mean, by very few, I mean on a percentage basis.
How many do you think there are?
Total, my God, maybe 50. Compared to the massive amount of writers that there actually are, I think it's a small percentage.
And then when are you hoping for Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet to finally be able to debut? Is that going to be next fall?
Yeah, I'm giving myself all the time in the world. Honestly, Rainbow Brute's got to take priority. I'd really like Wrecked Planet to happen in 2019 too. But if it doesn't, it doesn't, because what have we learned from Blood Honey? These comics take a long time to draw. I do have other responsibilities other than drawing comic books. I need to make sure. Yeah.
What are those?
I'm a father. I'm a husband.
I like that you're not neglecting your duties to your family. That's nice to hear.
That's correct. And my YouTube channel has to keep going. Mm-hmm. So a video a day. I've got to do live streams and maintain my connection with the subscriber base, followers, fans.
Let's talk a little bit about that Star Wars there, Ethan, because it surprises me at how hard you go at Kathleen Kennedy, because it seems like if you were just a little softer on her, they might actually tap you to help out over there. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to help anywhere.
Bullshit. You're telling me that you would not help craft a Star Wars story.
I am telling you, I am not interested in working anywhere. I'm not.
Other than All Caps Comics.
That's correct. I'm telling you that if they offered me a job at Lucasfilm, I would say thanks, but no thanks. If they offered me a job at Marvel Comics, I would say no, not right now. No, thanks. DC Comics the same. I don't want to work anywhere. Working for yourself is the ultimate freedom. And I've worked for DC Comics for 20 years. I'm done. Maybe when I'm 60, I'll go back, but I'm done right now. I've been on a treadmill with them, on this hamster wheel of getting work done, turning it in, not really feeling connected to it. Haven't really felt connected to anything that I've done since Jeff Johns. It's like he was the only real writer that I collaborated with and got to do great stuff with. The rest of it was work. It was work for hire. And being a wage slave it's not what I was meant to be. Clearly, hopefully people.
You were very good at it for a long time.
Well, I think even people that hate me have to see by now that there's something a little bit, sparkly about me. I'm not. I can't. I'm meant for other things. Hopefully, I'm meant for other things. I'm meant to talk. I'm meant to make people laugh. I'm meant to help people. I'm helping lead a movement called Comicsgate. I am.
No, you're not the leader.
No, I'm not the leader. We're all leaders. Everyone's a leader.
Yes.
I'm helping lead a movement. No different than anyone else. No different than Jon del Arroz. No different than Ro Kabir Kumar. No different than anyone. Nasser. Everyone is the leader of Comicsgate. It's a responsibility to keep people excited and keep people motivated, keep their spirits up. I mean, it's a depressing thing to be fighting SJWs and hearing their nonsense all day long. I'm good at it. I'm really good at what I do. I'm good at everything that I do. You know, thank God I have very talented parents. I don't need to be keeping my head down.
Your parents do for a living, Ethan?
My mom was an artist. My dad's a lawyer, but he's also, I think anybody who has met my dad online, you know, he's been on my show, knows that my dad is an extraordinarily gifted and funny guy. He's very bright. He's a theologian, a poet, a writer. My mom's, like I said, my mom's an artist. Her father was an architect who designed most of downtown Phoenix. You know, my little brother Noah is a famous cartoonist as well. So, I mean, there's just the Van Sciver family is just brimming. You know, we were furniture designers. We were the Dutch. We came over here and settled most of New Jersey and some of Pennsylvania. It's, you know, I'm, you know, there's stuff going on. I don't really need to keep my head down and draw Green Lantern until I die. I loved it, but it's just not. There's other stuff. There are other possibilities, and I want to encourage other people to do the same if they feel it. You know, if they feel it.
So I've got Praetorian in the chat saying that I heart radio, and that's actually funny because that reminds me that, believe this or not, this is amazing. This blew my mind when I saw the Star Wars sex scandal. So for about a year and a half, I produced a weekly segment at a radio station in Portland, and the time slot we were on was called the Court and Fat Boy Show, and Fat Boy was Bobby Roberts.
Yeah.
And
I know.
It blew my mind when I saw that. Blew my mind.
That was what he did. He was because you said you lived in Portland, right? I mean, yeah, he was a fat boy. I guess he lost a lot of weight, but
I don't think he was ever fat. I think it was one of those things where you call the little guy fatty, like you call the big guy tiny.
Yeah,
he wasn't fat 10 years ago when I knew him.
Oh, he said he was fat when he was younger. So, I mean, maybe not 10 years ago. It might have been. I can't. I don't know enough about him, honestly. But anyway, yeah, that was Bobby. That was Bobby Roberts. Sure.
Yeah, quite mind blowing. Anything can happen in the world. Wow. Well, Ethan, I appreciate you coming on here.
Well, I do too. You know, I really wish that Jon del Arroz had stuck around to talk, but he ran away.
Too, man, that really disappointed me. He really sounded like he had some fear in his voice when you showed up.
I don't blame him. I've seen his posts. I see what he's saying. Last time he wrote about me that I saw, aside from whatever he's been saying very, very recently, somebody said, what's it going to take to get you and Jon del Arroz to be friends again? And I said, and I was kidding, I said he needs to kneel and call me Caesar, because I knew the kinds of things he was saying about me. And he certainly did run with that. Look at what he's saying. This guy's so arrogant. Oh my God. Yeah, look, he's just not a good guy. That's my assessment of him. And I don't say that easily. There are very few people. I think Tim Lim is a good guy. You know what I mean? I think Captain Cummings is a good guy. I think a lot of these people who have decided that they don't like me are still, that's fine. They're still good guys. I can't say the same thing about Jon del Arroz.
Do you think it could be a problem with you and not them?
It always could be a problem with me. I think about that all the time.
Does it worry you? Do you stay up at night thinking about it?
Yeah, sure. I have. Of course. Would you have to be a sociopath? But then again...
Are you a sociopath?
No.
Do you want to be one?
No, I don't. I work really hard at trying to empathize with other people and trying to feel what they feel.
You certainly are the second hardest working man in Comicsgate.
Who's the first?
Oh, Mike Miller. Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Well, I mean, no, I really do try to empathize. But I mean, when you see people who, I think that perhaps Jon del Arroz is a sociopath. That is my assessment. That is my opinion.
I don't think so. I think he's a person who was put in a bad position, and he's really hurt bad by everything that's.
I'd like to, you know
my
what?
honest opinion, just from talking to him.
That's what a sociopath can do. I want to show you, and somebody should actually send you the list that some poor person made on the internet of Jon del Arroz harassing people. And I've never read anything like this before. There's a whole blog about it. And I know it's all true.
Do you feel that we harassed Vox Day that day when you had us go into the chat?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't consider that harassment myself.
Well, it was all in good fun. It was called, it was all in good fun because he asked for it. Frankly, he deserved it. And he's the kind of guy who that sort of thing might embarrass slightly, but he's just, it was more fun than it was. Like, I never thought for a second that Vox Day could actually have his feelings hurt over that. I think
people that go by fake names are not allowed to have their feelings hurt by anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the other people having code names always kind of, unless it's because you're anonymous and this isn't G.I. Joe and you're not Vox Day or Teddy Beal, and it's okay. It's okay to be Teddy Beal. I hear trumpets when I hear Teddy Beal too. You could still be the Dark Lord, Ted. But look,
it would take to fix things between you and Jon. Honestly, like, is there anything?
Times do I need to say it? You can't fix things with certain types of people.
What if you wrote a free comic book for you?
Why are you so? Do you want me to start yelling?
A lot of people are doing that. Why do you want to yell? That's a sign of a sociopath. Are you getting angry right now?
No. Yeah, getting angry is the opposite of sociopathy. I don't think that's not what that is.
Sociopaths are quick to anger.
But it's internalized and they seethe. They don't actually blow up over a perceived ridiculous slight.
Clearly, you've never met my mother.
That's normal. It's absolutely normal to just go, why would you think I'd want Jon del Arroz to write something for me? And that would make me his friend. I don't want Jon del Arroz to write anything for me. I want him to go over there and leave me alone.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so I mean, it's simple.
When you came in here, the guys was under trying to have a conversation and see if there could be things patched up. Maybe.
Well, no, he was having a conversation about me, and he was saying, Comicsgate is a monster that Ethan Van Sciver created, or whatever it was that he said.
That it's currently a monster that you send out. We're like a golem, and you send us out.
These are grave allegations that I would like to correct.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
I would like to correct them to him face to face, but that wasn't something that was going to happen. He wanted to talk to me in private. Why? What's going to happen in private? What kind of exchange or arrangement is going to happen in private that couldn't happen right here in public with 33 people watching? Why not? See, that tells you everything that you need to know. I'd be willing to say whatever or answer any weird allegation, anything that he wanted to say. I'm here for him at this point. I'm making myself available so that if any of this is true, I'm clearly going to be embarrassed because he's got me right on the spot. I'm going to be flummoxed. I'm going to stammer, and it's going to be really embarrassing for me. He's going to pwn me. I'm going to be totally pwned. He's going to dunk on me, but he didn't. He ran away. And that's everything. That's everything that you need to know. What man does that? This isn't somebody who's sincere. This isn't somebody who has any allegations or concerns that should be taken seriously. This is somebody who is on a campaign to slime a movement that he used to belong to because he feels slighted by it.
I agree with that. He is on a campaign to hurt the movement, for sure.
That's correct. And he's doing it because I think my feeling is that, and a few people are like this, they don't feel like they can own it, and so they have to destroy it.
I think
they'd rather destroy it than relinquish control.
I think he's more hurt because he thought that, where we were 6 months ago certainly did look better than where we are today.
I disagree.
Okay, tell me why you disagree.
Because there were ticking time bombs in the movement 6 months ago that are no longer there. Why would you think that ticking time bombs that haven't exploded yet is a better situation than bombs identified and removed?
Well, I don't really see any bombs that were identified and removed. I can understand people's concern about the Vox Day connection. I understand that completely. But what other ones?
I don't want to get into it. You know, I mean, like I'm not here to point fingers of scorn.
Okay.
At individuals who have not been brought up yet. But yeah, people do kind of find their way in, and their intentions become known. Now, you can be in Comicsgate, and you can take a general disliking to me. It's not hard to do. I'm dislikable. But still be like, look, the movement is important because I care about what we profess to believe in. And even though Ethan is, he lets these people call him Caesar, and he laughs about it. It's really upsetting. Like, why does he do that? What an arrogant dick. But even still, Comicsgate is important. It's important enough for me to look past that and to want to be a part of it in some way. And even if it's in my own way, even if it's I'm not going to attend anyone's live streams except for John Malin's, and maybe I'm going to make my own live streams. But I want to try to change things and affect things because this is what I believe.
Okay.
That's what people should be doing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you've just been very cordial here this evening. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm always cordial.
You are always cordial. That's true. When you're not sending your war campaign monsters after people, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really, honestly, when it comes
just
to
in the chat, you guys, I'm just ribbing you a little bit right here. It's okay.
Are they? Yeah, Ro Kabir's in the chat. I don't know.
I know. I was going to actually invite a couple of them in if they want to come in.
Well, they would have an interesting perspective. People don't really. It's the same people that are accusing them of stuff. I hate to say it, but they tend to root out bad actors. From what I see, they have identified and rooted out people who were just up to no good. There's a lot of just weird stuff. There's a lot of people scheming and planning traps and tricks. People who are screenshotting private conversations and leaking them and sharing them.
Yeah,
it's
I think
really
that's really
strange. Dirty. And these guys tend to be on it, like they know. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the last time they did something. Well, it was the Nurkish thing, that whole situation. It's like I was getting all these screenshots of people having these dirty conversations about me, talking about my kids, people that surprised me, people that I wouldn't have thought. I didn't know this person had any animus or ill will. Oh, well, it turns out that they do, and they're sharing my private conversations. And this is all stuff that occasionally will come my way due to certain people from the war campaign. And it's, what can I tell you? I mean, I haven't seen them misbehave. I haven't. If they do misbehave, first of all, I would sit there and say, go stop misbehaving, knock it off. And to the extent that they would listen to me, I would do what I could. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? A lot of people have seen it.
But
haven't. Of course, what you consider misbehaving versus what I consider misbehaving might be two different things.
Maybe.
That's very possible.
Maybe, but I listen, I'm a father who's raised 3 kids. So I know misbehavior when I see it.
I mean, maybe you do. A lot of people have 3 kids and they don't know fuck all about misbehavior, and their kids are, shitbags.
I don't know. Listen, I will have to see this. I will have to see the bad behavior, and I would say something, I guess, but again, this is a weird thing where it's like these guys are just fans. These guys are fans. I know they call themselves the War Campaign. They're a part of Comicsgate, and they're just fans, just like anyone else is.
Oh, I don't think it's like anyone else's.
Well, no, I don't. I guess it is, and I guess they're unique.
Yes, they are unique
in that they're very funny, and very creative, and very smart, and extremely poetic.
And they're all a little high strung from not having sex from the Rainbow Brute Celibacy Challenge. So,
that's their own fault. I never asked them to do that. I never did.
I do support the Rainbow Brew Celibacy Challenge. That's genius. Stroke of genius.
I love it because certain people, certain anti-comic skaters, didn't get that the joke was kind of on them, and all said, "Oh yeah, comic skaters not having sex for a little while, that'll be real hard." Ho ho ho. That's the joke, assholes. That was the joke. Got it. Perfect.
I'm out of steam here, Ethan.
Well, I don't blame you. It's 3 a.m. and it was a dazzling conversation.
It was dazzling. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do it again someday.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Now, again, Jon del Arroz, don't you regret it? You're sitting in the chat. Don't you regret that you just didn't stay on and talk?
I regret it immensely. This would have been a fascinating conversation. You've been, it would have been a lot better than the Angletein unmarked Chevron, unranked Chevron, something.
Yeah.
Chevron? I don't know. With Techron?
Yeah. I was too tired. I would have gotten. I mean, I got angry at those guys. I don't think I would have gotten too angry.
You didn't look great in that. To be honest with you, you didn't look great.
You can't always be beautiful.
No, it's tough. It's tough, and you're not eating well enough. And I want you to address that here in your private life. I want to get you down to a slim trim 215 pounds.
215. All right.
You can do it. That's only 50 pounds.
I don't know if I want to do it.
Without losing the pie, of course. We cannot. I will never forsake the pie myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I want to do it, to be honest with you. Like, I think about it and I just go, do I want to? Or do I want to keep eating what I want to eat and just get fatter and fatter? I don't know.
Does Andrea like feeding you the pie?
No.
Does Andrea like feeding you food?
Yes.
Okay, so keep eating the food. Make her happy. If she wants you to be 320 pounds, go for it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just remember when you go to a comic convention, the endless shit you're going to hear from Comicsgaters that you really are fat. Just remember that, though.
They can see me. It's of course. Yeah, I don't care. And what conventions? We're gonna have to start our own conventions. Maybe next year we're gonna have to do our own Comicsgate convention. Should be fun. It's like everyone who is anyone on YouTube and Comicsgate, etc. We all get together. We can hang out, have a good time. I think that's the thing to do. And Jon del Arroz will be invited.
I certainly hope so. Maybe I don't think he'll come, but I would hope that you guys can find a way to resolve something so that he can do what he's doing and you can do what you're doing.
Why does that? Again, people keep saying that. Why isn't this a resolution? Isn't Jon del Arroz going away and me never speaking his name and him never speaking mine? Isn't that a solution? That is a solution. It's a good solution. It's going to make people happy because it's not going to lead to more, bullshit down the road. And that's what it is. I'd encourage Jon del Arroz to not speak my name again and to go be productive and to stop trying to fight. Stop trying to fight.
I would suggest he is very productive. But I would suggest, no more fighting. I know it doesn't help when people go to his Facebook and it's a vicious circle. It's a vicious circle. We could talk about it for days. Let's not. Let's not.
Great being on the show.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, you have a great night, and I will see you, I'm sure, on one of my streams, I hope.
Oh, I certainly hope so. Sleep tight.
Right. You too. Bye-bye.
All right, now do any of you war campaign fuckers want to come in here? Maybe Ro Kabir? I'll let you in. I'll just wait patiently to see if Ro wants to come in. Because honestly, I miss Ro Kabir. I miss him a lot. We had something special, and I hail Caesar. I hail Caesar. I don't bend the knee, though. As part of the Malin militia, I spread the cheeks. It's all part of it. So we'll see. If Ro Kabir wants to come in, I will give him a link. I will drop it right there in the chat. But I'll kick out anybody else who comes in. So let's see. Let's just see. No Ro Kabir. I'm not seeing anything. This is a love confession. GR people. What is the GR? Is it a green people? I've often wondered that. Ro Kabir Kumar. You can come in. If you want. It's up to you. You just have to say you want to. I guess you don't want to. And if you don't want to, then I'm going to end the stream. But know that I wanted you. You are loved, despite whatever past differences we've had. You are loved because you are entertaining, very entertaining. And yeah, I don't want to hate you guys. I don't hate you guys. I mean, you know, it's up to you. Just say, you know, yeah, shoot me the link. Yeah, the ace is just going too hard, dude. He's kind of annoying. Because the ace is too hard. That's why. It just got tiring. Nasser did it first. And then I just subsequently followed up with this. I'm getting tired. I'm not able to speak properly. So I subsequently followed up with some more timeouts. Because I can. Because this is my channel and I can do whatever the fuck I want. How about that? It's not about taking the heat, Ro. I mean, you're the one that doesn't seem to want to come in here, right? It's that I don't have to. See, I am not your slave. You are not my master. Oh, are you going to threaten to come to my home, Rokabir? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to threaten to come to my home? Where little children are sleeping? Like some weird fuck? Is that what you're going to do? I'm just concerned, you know, about children in my home sleeping silently and weirdos who make violent threats. That's weird. And so I respond accordingly. But I guess, you know, you guys don't want to come in here. You know, and you're sitting here talking all this shit about Jon del Arroz. Talking all this shit about Jon del Arroz. But out of nowhere, you don't have the balls to come in here. So I think that says it all, right? And Chris O'Ray, he has a question. We'll see. Hey, Steve Dye, I got 11,000 subs on my other channel, brother. Okay? This one's just for fun. This one's just for talking about comic books. I just got started a week ago. Am I originally from Portland, Chris? No, I lived in Portland for a couple years, but I'm actually from the great state of Washington. So basically, yeah, you know, you look at all these war campaign guys and they're just, you know, too pussified to come in, I guess. So I'm going to end the stream because it's, you know, it's late. Oh, Chris, you're in Beaverton. Well, you're welcome to reach out to me on Facebook, buddy, under this same handle, the Crypto Comics, buddy. Oh, Louisiana. Well, that's a good place to move from what I've heard, if you were near Baton Rouge. And Aldous on the farm, just off Orwell Lane. You will join. You will join. Okay. There it is. Okay. So the link has been shared, but it's only open for Aldous or Ro. Anybody else who comes in here, I'm just going to boot you out. Because I can, because this is my channel. I'm just going to wait patiently, and we'll see what pops in here. We will see. But I hope you're quick, Aldous. If that doesn't work, brother, I don't know what to do. We'd have to know each other in real life on Facebook for me to send you a link, because I'm not on Twitter. Because a bunch of pussies in the war campaign couldn't handle someone being direct with them when they made some threats toward a family. Okay, Ro, I appreciate it. You come on in. I'm fine with that. Just I'm getting a little tired, so I'm not firing on all cylinders anymore. It's getting a little late. I should have had some drinks. It's just I don't drink, so I'm just going to wait here patiently, and we'll see. Who is this guy again? Who are you, PK Conrad? I wonder, what does the PK stand for? Paul Kevin? Patrick Kevin? Okay, Ro. Whenever you're ready. I understand you got to get the headphones and all that. So I can wait a couple more minutes. I'm just getting sleepy. Oh, you're my wife's other boyfriend. Oh, so clever. Oh my gosh. That's got to be bizarre, though. Dating your mom. Weird. Oh, Lando Pan, the tough guy, right? Okay, why don't you come over, buddy? Well, I know where you're at. So come on over, Tiger. Aren't you the pussy who couldn't manage to meet for the fight you were begging for 3 weeks? That's right. That's right. Instead, you do a mass report to Twitter. Oh, I'm being threatened. Oh. What a joke. What a joke. Come and get it. Yeah. You were the one that wanted to come and get it. Remember? You remember, Mr. Tough Guy? You were the one, but you couldn't handle the heat, I guess. So you pussed out. Pussed way out. But that's okay. We can drop it all if you want, dude. I'm fine with that, to be honest with you, Or we can just keep talking shit to each other that doesn't really serve a purpose, Whatever. Ro, hurry it up, brother. Oh, yeah. Pinboy Lando's so child dong lover. Come and get it. Actually, PK Conrad, I have a lot of skills and a lot of talents and a lot of charms. Oh, my God, he made it. Finally. How you doing?
Sure did. I'm doing great, man. What's your name? I got to know what to call you.
My name is Matt.
Matt. All right. I can't keep calling you testosterone, can
I? You can call me whatever you want, That's fine with me. Just don't call me late for dinner.
So the question I got for you, man, I mean, I saw you been asking, Caesar a lot of questions. The question I got for you is, are you going to be threatening anybody with guns again?
If they threaten to come to my house where children sleep, absolutely. I want
So
you
what happened in the end, man? The sheriff came to your house?
I don't even know what you're talking about. A sheriff come to my house? Why would a sheriff come to my house? I have a right to have guns.
How come you're not on Twitter anymore? What happened to that account?
Well, I guess, it seems like a bunch of gutless pussies seem to mass flag that account.
It's weird, though, right? Because you actually put on a mask and then you went on the internet and you pulled out your guns and you threatened violence to somebody.
Someone threatened violence to me?
Well, hold on a second. You got so triggered. You got so triggered that you went and made a death threat and recorded yourself doing that.
I got triggered.
Right?
What does that mean?
It means that you lost your cool and then you took out your guns and then you put on a mask.
So
and then you actually
So Ro, you have little children.
I sure do, yeah.
Sure do. How would you feel if some person you didn't know was making violent threats to you in private messages and then started, let me finish. And then started talking about where you live.
Well, here's the
thing.
They're
going to show, and they say specifically that they're going to show up on your doorstep.
So it's Matt, right? Matt?
Yes, sir.
Matt, all those messages were leaked. So I read through those, and that's not what was written. You were continuously trying to find out where everybody lived for some reason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Those DMs were leaked, man. You leaked them. Pan leaked them. Both of you leaked them. So all that stuff was out in the open. It was pretty clear to see that you guys were just basically having a pissing match via DM, and then you lost your cool, and then you put up a video.
That's not actually accurate, Ro.
Well,
so what happened? Let me go back.
How it looks to a third party.
Let me go back in time. I wish I had him on this computer. Let me just go back in time here. So,
you sound absolutely deranged right now, right? That's how people are reading you right now.
That's maybe how you're reading me. Did you want me to go ahead and have a conversation with you, or?
No, I do. I absolutely do. But you sound deranged. That's what I'm trying to tell you here.
Oh, so a man is willing to defend his family from a stranger?
It's not about defending your family. Oh. Do you actually think there's a threat to your family from somebody, from this guy, from Panboy, from Poe? Do you think
I don't know Panboy. I don't know.
You think this guy actually wants to threaten your family? Is that what you're thinking? I mean, think about it. You already
violent. Let me finish.
You already lost your Twitter account, right?
Okay, you're on my channel, so I am speaking.
You invited me, brother. You invited me.
Then go ahead and stop cutting me off when I'm speaking.
I'm just
saying. There you go again.
I just want to finish my sentence, and then I'll let you speak. Okay, my sentence is this: is that you lost that YouTube, that Twitter account, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, I mean, don't you feel like you've already lost enough? Do you really want to continue this further?
So Twitter means that much to you? It's part of your personal life. It's part of your psyche, your being.
Not really. Not really. It was only, my account has only been open for less than a year, right? Okay. Well, actually, it's going to be a year in January. So, I mean,
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But do you hear what I'm saying, Matt? I mean, the way that you sound right now, you sound deranged.
No, I sound like a person who is not going to take any shit from someone who's threatening to come to their home, talking about where they live, acting like a fucking weirdo.
Brother, you were writing the same messages to Pan. You were saying stuff like about places. You were asking him, where does he live? What highway is he off? All that kind of stuff, you know. Where does he go to drink?
Because I want to have a beer with the dude. If you read those messages, you can see that there's a normal human being who thought he was interacting with a normal. See, are you aware that in the real world, people get together and like have beers and talk about?
Well, let's just say that I'm going to concede this point.
So let me finish.
No, I'm going to agree with you, brother. Okay, I'm going to say to you. So let's just say that you were actually afraid. So let's say you felt like that was a reasonable.
It's not that I'm afraid. It's that I'm prepared. See, I didn't realize that he was. I don't know what he is. I don't want to say anything rude about.
But what I'm trying to tell you this is right now you can quash this. Okay, you can end this. All you need to do, simply put, is you need to stop fixating. Okay, on the war campaign and the rest of us.
Fixated.
You need to stop fixating on the mystery thing on Skyver or Caesar. You need to stop fixating on people, you know, who simply don't want to know you and who are content to let you do your thing by yourself. I mean, I know now that you are actually editing a book for Nasser. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been working some with Nasser. Yeah.
Right on. What's the book?
I'm not sure what that has to do with anything.
Well, no, I'm just asking you, man, because what I'm trying to say here is that, you know, you can do these creative things. You can get on with your life. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to come after the war campaign, you know, saying that we've done this or that to you. And you're going to fall off of our radar as well. We won't even keep track of you. That's how these things work. We go our separate ways, which is the exact same thing that you were having a conversation with Caesar about, right? The fact is that you could, you know, JDA can do his own thing and that's it. Life goes on. We don't have to be friends and we also don't have to be enemies. Do you understand that?
Oh, I understand that. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's it. That's what I'm offering you, brother. That's what I'm offering you.
That's an offer of what?
To go our separate ways.
We've already gone our separate ways.
Right. Okay. Instead of continuing this kind of, I mean, you know, it just does. It's not very productive at the end of the day.
I mean, what are you doing that is productive, Ro?
Right. Think about it like this. So, you know, so for example, do you actually believe the things that you say about the war campaign? You think that we actually have doxed anybody or done anything malicious to people?
Malicious, sure. Doxed, I can't. I can't prove it. I don't think. I mean, maybe I've said that. You know, I've heard the rumors. Let me put it that way.
Okay, sure. You heard rumors. All right. So the thing is, what I'm asking you though is what exactly do you think? What is your view on the war campaign and in terms of what they've done detrimental?
I think that you guys have pushed a lot of people away. You guys really have, and I wish that there. I mean, honestly, despite any beef that we may have had in the past or whatever, straight up, if I could,
I want to drop that stuff.
I would fix it.
I want to drop that stuff. Okay. I mean, you've already, you made that video, you put your guns up, you made a threat and you got smacked down for it and you got punished for it. You got those accounts taken away. Now, moving on from that, what specifically is a war campaign doing to you or has done to you that still continues to bother you?
Oh, nothing to me.
All right. So what else is there then? I don't understand. So is a war campaign a negative influence in your point of view?
Yeah, I think you guys have been negative. I think you guys can do some things that are.
Is it the memeing? What is it? Is it the jokes, the live streams?
Are you going to let me finish, or are you going to continue to try to control the conversation rather than just participate in it?
All right, go ahead, brother.
Okay. I think that the Rainbow Brute Celibacy Challenge is fucking brilliant. And I think if you guys focused more on stuff like that, you would draw more people into Comicsgate instead of push them away. I think you guys have gotten too caught up with getting yourselves negative attention in the theory that, you know, the only bad press is no press. That's not really true. It's true most of the time. But when you're repelling people from Comicsgate, it's not true anymore. And I don't want to see you guys do that. Like, you're a funny dude. Like, you guys are all funny, and you guys could be so much more.
Well, Guy, you had a friggin' big channel, man. You had a lot of people watching, right? You had what, 10,000 people watching you on that.
We're up to over 11,000 now. Yeah.
There you go, man. There you go. So what I'm saying is that, look, like you're saying that we're driving people away, but in what way are we driving people away? I mean, you got to tell me. So on one hand, our memes are funny, or we do funny things, but on the other hand, we're driving people away. And in which way?
I mean, I can't testify that your memes are funny. I don't think your memes are actually that funny.
Right. Okay. So then, okay. So what?
It's not a dig either. I'm just
that's fine. That's like fine.
Nasser and Cecil, right?
That's fine, brother. That's fine. What I'm just trying to say to you, though, is that what is it very specifically? I mean, you don't seem to have really a point. What do you want to get out of this? Where do you want to go? What do you actually want to see happen?
Well, we're just having a conversation. I'd like to see you guys learn how to rein yourselves in and focus on doing positive, fun stuff.
So what would be the things that you would have us to stop to do?
I think what offends a lot of people who want to be Comicsgate but have chosen to not use that hashtag anymore, specifically because of the war campaigns, negativity towards girls in the movement, or whatever you want to call it.
You know, we have most of the women in Comicsgate are actually what we call Valkyries. Do you know that?
Well, you know, I think that you can point to a couple that are, but I think I can point to, you know, 2 or 3 times as many who aren't.
Okay, so well, hold on a second. So let's count women, right? I think that's where we're at. Well, we're at the point now in the show where we're going to be counting women. So count your women, and then I'll count our women.
Okay.
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead with what?
No, I mean, count your women. What women do you have? Count your women, and I'll count my women.
Oh, I can think of, you know, probably 8 chicks offhand.
Name them.
I'm not going to name them.
I thought we're gonna count them. No,
why would I name people so you guys can target them?
No, but this is not.
Come on.
That's the thing, though. Don't you see how it sounds farcical? We know.
No, it sounds farcical to you because you're the one perpetrating this.
So what is it that we're targeting?
This is the narrative you're spinning.
What are we doing exactly? So you've got 8 women. We got binders full of women, brother.
Yes.
I mean, think about it, man. This is ridiculous, no?
Anyhow, yeah, you guys are a little ridiculous. Yeah.
No, this is it. Listen, you don't like us. That's fine. You don't have to like us.
I want to like you.
You don't have to. You don't have to want to like
you, and I want to continue to like you.
All right.
You just make it extremely difficult to.
I think the best way to do it is for you to go your separate way, and for us to go our separate way, and that's it. You know, and life is going to go. We got Bagel Goose saying, guys, this is getting extra gay. Right. Well, there it is. So we're probably gaying this.
Make love, bro.
No, I don't think so, brother. I don't think so. Okay. In any case, so what? I just want to make it clear. So, what do you think that we do to those women? That we target them in what way? What do we do?
Targeting of them. It's what
does that mean exactly?
You know, calling Nerdette a freak of nature.
Right, but what? Hold on a second.
Threatening other people that I'm a former federal officer.
Wait a second.
No, okay. I'm not going to wait a second because you asked me a question. I'm going to finish it. So stop trying to control the narrative. I know that you want to control the narrative.
Well, that
doesn't work with me.
I just want to respond to the first part where you're saying specifically about nerdettes, right? So, can I do that? Do you mind?
I don't even know Nerdette, just so we're clear. I've never had a conversation.
Okay, so I actually do, right? I actually do. So we've actually had conversations in the background and in DMs, and everything's fine now. Everything's but everything's fine now. What I'm trying to tell you, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're controlling the narrative, everything's fine.
No, we've already discussed it. I've discussed it with her. Things are okay.
You need them to put out a little message on Twitter to make sure everybody knows that things are cool, and you need just do this and do that. And you're always trying to control things, bro. Why are you always trying to control things?
I think you just don't like me, and that's okay.
Oh, I just said that I did like you, and that I want to like you again. I like your laugh. I know you have a good sense of humor.
Thanks, brother. I'm going to have to get going now, I think.
Why do you feel the need to control everything? Are you a sociopath?
No. This is what I didn't appreciate.
Do you not like women?
This is what I didn't appreciate with when you're asking, Mr. Ethan Van Sciver questions as well. It's because, I mean, these are actually quite rude questions to ask somebody. What if I asked you, Mr. Matt, right? Matt, are you a sociopath? Are you a lunatic? Are you a deranged lunatic incel? Not the good kind of incel, like a vincel, but the bad kind of incel.
An incelsior?
Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, think about it, brother. I mean, you literally put up a video with yourself threatening a man with guns, right? I mean, this is where we're at.
I realize you're Canadian, so you're probably pretty cucked already by Trudeau. But in America, we don't fuck around when people threaten to come to your house and commit an act of violence and say, "What are you going to do when I show up on your doorstep, motherfucker?"
Right. Anyhow,
I think we don't play with that here.
You got to remember the next step now for you is going to be law enforcement. That's going to be the next step, right?
That's
so unless you want.
So what are you going to? So explain that to me.
Well, I'm saying if you continue what you're doing.
If I continue doing what?
In a violent physical manner, right? If you want to bring the things that you're.
Can you answer my question?
If you're idealizing this kind of violence and you want to bring that into fruition, if you want to bring that to fruition in the physical plane of existence, you're going to have a big problem with law enforcement. Do you understand that?
So if I continue doing what?
So if you actually take your guns and you physically point them at a person in real life, Matt, you're going to have a big problem in life. Do you understand that?
I think that the person I'm pointing them at is going to have a big problem in life.
All right. So that's where we're at now.
Understand that?
So the best thing for you to do is to stay at your house, close the door, put on some peaceful music, and forget about the war campaign.
Or what?
Thank you very much, Matt. I enjoyed this thoroughly.
So you can't answer that question?
Good night, brother.
You're going to dip out like JDA. Gutless. You see that? You see how they do that? He wants to control the narrative. And when he's not allowed to control the narrative, he has to escape, because that's the goal, to control the narrative. That's what they want to do. And Steve Dye, you can say whatever you want, brother. It doesn't matter to me.
Proper Jeremy thinks this is very improper of you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Proper Jeremy. It was a pleasure having you on, though. And here you have Panboy, Lando, Soy Dong, Love Child, whatever. Bring it, tough guy. So... the guy that cucked Panboy says, oh, you're going to have a problem with law enforcement if you defend your family. And then this guy says, bring it, tough guy. See how this works? Very interesting how they work. Steve Dye, I got no beef with you, man. We're cool. And when the war campaign falls, we can still be cool. And, Bagel Goose, you're still cool too. But that's it, I think everything's very clear here. Earl Kabir didn't have the nuts to say what he really wanted to say, because he has to watch himself, because he's not a real human being. A weird sociopath who believes very weird things and believes in harassing people to get himself followers on YouTube and Twitter. What a sad, pathetic shell of a life.